Hey there, Commonwealth, if you disregard my letters, then I'll write a mega motion that'll expose you in 80 pages, yes it will. Hope you got time to kill, it's quite a reveal. Hey there, creators, anytime you need a bump, just call up Bederow and I'll be here to give you what you want, it's what I do. Even though I don't have time for you, I'll make do. Hey there, Wendy Murphy, anytime you send a tweet that makes me vomit in my mouth a little, I'll put you on bad legal takes, yes I will. At this point it's become a skill, I think you're ill. Oh, it's the Twitter school of law. Oh, the Twitter school of law. Oh, the island of misfit toys, that's where you all belong, you all belong. Hey there, Brennan, what's with your non-objection or objection? You screwed my pro-ad vice and I couldn't get admitted, what the fuck? You know what they say about bunk, don't press your luck. Hey there, Cosgrove, what's it like to be conflicted? Cause your star witness is suing you, what a predicament, it must be rough. I can only imagine, man, that's tough, that must suck. Don't put me in these Twitter beefs, you know I only wanna speak about how Breaking Bad is the best. Either that or Better Call Saul, you know that I love it all. Vince Gilligan can do no wrong. By the way, how about Drake May? He seems to be on his way to reviving the Pats. We're fucking back. Hey there, Commonwealth, don't forget to read my letters.
All right. Welcome to MazzaMedia. I had to go on mute because I wasn't sure if all the laughing was coming over the speakers of that video when that video started. So that's by Fervent on X who tagged me in that this morning. I had a few text message come this morning to me saying, "Mazza, you got to put this on your show tonight." I was laughing hysterically backstage when I was playing that video over the show. But our guest tonight is Mark Bederow, attorney Mark Bederow. If you guys haven't heard, Kelly reads in the chat. She says, "Dear Bederow and Mazza, we love you. We love you too, Kelly." And without further ado, welcoming back to MazzaMedia is attorney Mark Bederow. Mark, how are you?
What the hell was that? I don't know what to say about that. It's flattering, I guess. It's quite humorous. It's quite accurate in many ways. Although I'm not sure where the AI picture came from, but if I could give some constructive criticism to the genius who put that together, use a crayon, my man, not a pen. These are crayon letters. We all know that.
All right.
But that's again, I suppose that's flattering. It's funny. I was laughing out loud. So thank you.
That's all right. They hit a lot of key points too on that.
They got it all. They got Breaking Bad. They got Better Call Saul. Even a shout out to Vince Gilligan directly. Wow.
Right.
They got the Pats. They got it all. So whoever put that together, all kidding aside, that's very humbling in a funny way.
Right.
I appreciate that. I think.
Absolutely. No. Exactly. I laughed. That was funny. I thought it was really funny. So I enjoyed it. So we're here tonight to talk about sports. It's sports talk. Usually when we have you on the show or you're on shows, it's usually primarily focused on criminal cases, all matters, whether it's locally in Massachusetts or elsewhere. But tonight's a special sports show. We had a recommendation recently come through on X that said you and Mark need to talk some sports. Actually, Fervent's right here. I made the video for you and the intro there. That's the man or woman there that made it. But yes, we had a recommendation come through on X, and a lot of people liked it. And we kind of touched base and said, "Hey, let's do this show, and we'll narrow down a day and do it." And
would, on any given day of the week, would much rather talk about sports, pop culture, excellent TV shows, excellent movies, much more, believe it or not, than criminal procedure and whatnot. And let's be honest, given there's a lot of craziness going on right now, apparently, in this whole orbit of Massachusetts criminal procedure. I think it's in everyone's interest just to have a good time, talk sports, talk pop culture, and get some perspective about life and enjoyment rather than obsessing over, nonsense that occurs on Twitter. So that's my view anyway.
Understood. And, it's a lot of topics to talk about. We're going to talk about the Patriots tonight to open up. We're going to talk about the World Series. I'm sure you followed that one. That was one of probably the best and wildest World Series I've seen in a long, long time. And then after that, I think we'll just talk about sports at random. So maybe a little bit of Celtics here and there and some other sports as we go. But the Patriots today sealed another victory, 6 straight. They are on fire. But today, at home, was a very, very stressful game to watch in a lot of ways, but in the end, they won.
They're not a good home team and haven't been in the post-Tom Brady era. And if you were watching the game, as I know you were, and you get it on TV, I get it on Sunday Ticket because I'm not there. The stat of the day was, what did they say? That for 20-something consecutive home games, the Patriots have trailed at some point, that they have not led or been tied wire to wire in 20-something home games, which of course, you play 8 or 9 or sometimes 9 given the 17-game schedule. I mean, you're talking 2.5 years of losing in every single home game. And you need to win at home, and you need to win against inferior teams. And Atlanta's not terrible, but they're an inferior team.
Yeah.
And I think also they should have won today by probably 3 scores. They won by the skin of their teeth because the kicker that the Patriots cut, ironically, couldn't hit an extra point. But I also think that when you're a growing team, a young team, learning how to win, and they're really, 6 in a row, that you do need to win in the muck. You need to win ugly. You need to do things that are uncomfortable. You need to win when you're not at your best. That's part of growth and development. And they did that. And, it should have never happened. But there came a point late in the game where the Patriots had, 3rd and 5, as you know, and first down is going to win the game. They don't get a first down. They're going to punt and probably lose, right? Mm-hmm. And I was shocked, of all people, Jason McCourty, you're a McCourty brother, saying they should just run the ball and punt. Absolutely not. And a Mike Vrabel team is going to go for the win. Are you kidding me? And they called the perfect play, a wide open pass, 7 or 8 yards, game over. Winning ugly matters. You can't win every game in a beautiful way. And I think that this game is actually as important to their development as even like that, great win they had over Buffalo several weeks ago. Yeah. That you've got to win ugly and win dirty. And they did. So yeah. Good job, Pat. You have the best record in the NFL, as hard as that sounds to believe.
Right. It's crazy. And you had the Colts lose today. They fell to 7-2 from a 7-1 record. The Broncos have been in there quietly as well. Yeah. So 3-way tie in the AFC East, but the Patriots are among them. And it's really good to see the Patriots in a first place tie. And with the schedule, they look very favorable ahead as well in terms of picking up a lot more wins.
Yeah, you never like to look at the schedule and sketch out win-loss, but I did it after today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I the way I looked at it, they're 7-2. They have 8 games left. The way I looked at it, there are only 3 games that in any possible world that you want the Patriots to be good and show growth, that would be even remotely acceptable losses. I hate to use that term, but they have a game next week at Tampa Bay. That's a game they should win, but I'll call that would be an acceptable loss.
Yeah.
Game at home against Buffalo. Buffalo is still Buffalo. Let's not get too excited. And then Baltimore on the road. Baltimore is much better than their record. It's at the end of the year. They're going to be better. But other than those 3 games, my God, you have 2 games against the Jets, who just suck beyond sucking. You have the Cincinnati Bengals, and what more need be said about them than if you saw on Red Zone today the way they lost today? They are a complete joke.
Yeah.
You have the New York Giants, which I believe is a game I'll be at, by the way, when I'm in Boston on Monday night. The Giants are terrible without Scadaboo, which breaks my heart because Sun Devil, of course. But the Giants, certainly without Scadaboo, are awful. And then I'm forgetting the other cupcake game that they have off the top of Miami, which is another. I mean, Miami is as bad as it gets. So realistically, I need 12 and 5 or 13 and 4, and anything less than that at this point would be disappointing. I mean, I think you have to adjust in real time. In the beginning of the year, if you said 10 and 7, you would have signed up for that, but not now.
Yeah.
Not now. Yeah. They have and I think this is really important too. They have a players coach that's going to be attractive to free agents. They have good draft capital, but most importantly, moving beyond this year. They have more cap space than anyone else in the entire NFL, which is, really important. And another part that goes hand in hand with that, they've got a quarterback for another couple of years on a rookie deal who makes peanuts. They don't have to pay Drake May just yet. So, who knows where this year will end up? But my God, the next couple of years, I'm expecting big things.
I personally feel like the old Brady Belichick rule has come back into play here, where basically you have a coach and you have a quarterback that I truly believe at some point in time here has the ability to. It's like Parcells and Bledsoe, Brady and Belichick. I truly believe these guys can get to the Super Bowl. It's just a matter of will be this year in 3 to 4 years, but they have a team right now where they can realistically, and I think they already are, putting a team around these players that can legitimately get them to competing at a Super Bowl level within, like I said, 1 to 4 years. Tops.
Yeah, I agree. But I also like they're doing it a little different. I mean, and look, those 20 years, I mean, that's never going to happen again. But let's be honest, when you watch the Patriots back then, you were like Yankees fans in the 1990s, late 90s, early 2000s. I know this because I saw them on a daily basis. If you don't win a Super Bowl or win the World Series in the Yankees case, it's an epic failure. And every game is like, and when the Patriots would attract free agents back then, they would attract soulless individuals desperate to win, which is fine. It's a way to do it. It wasn't that, Bill Belichick was an attractive guy to go, be warm and fuzzy with. So when they got Darrelle Revis, that was a ring chaser. That's okay.
It worked.
Corey Dillon from the first part of that.
Right.
That was a ring chaser.
Right.
It worked, okay. To some extent, Rodney Harrison, who I love, by the way.
Yes, likewise. Everybody a name.
This is a different permutation. This team is likable, and Vrabel, even though he's a Belichick guy, is totally different. He is a player's coach and principal. The players seem to genuinely love him. They seem to genuinely be having fun. They're more fun than they were back then. And I think that's going to attract different types of free agents than as opposed to these soulless ring chasers. By the way, I'm all for soulless ring chasers if it's going to win a Super Bowl.
That's right.
But, let's be honest. You're in the Northeast. It's cold. It's not Miami. It's not LA.
Right.
It's not the Dallas Cowboys just because they're Dallas. You have to have other things attract free agents. And a great coach, a great quarterback, a winning culture, a fun culture, and as it turns out, a franchise. I never would have thought this when I was a kid. That is like the poster child of winning. I mean, that's just so shocking to me because the Patriots I know as a kid are, they're like the worst team ever. The future for these guys is just off the charts. I can't believe it. But it's true.
It is. It's absolutely true. And this team as well, I think that my opinion too, is what I like about Vrabel, and I was kind of dwelling on this during the game today, when he was the Titans coach several years back, I kind of said to myself, gee, it's almost too bad he became a head coach in the NFL before Belichick retired, because seeing what he's doing in that first year or two, I would have liked to have gotten him as Belichick's replacement. And I said that many years ago in his first year or two with the Titans, and never would have, because my opinion was that he was excelling so much, and his teams were very tough to beat in the playoffs as well. They even beat us and ended Brady's tenure with the Patriots. And I said, my goodness, he would be a heck of a replacement for Belichick. But unfortunately, I think he's going to excel so much in Tennessee that he's never really going to end up in New England. Well, as time would have it, a lot of shocking things in terms of events happened where Vrabel was let go in Tennessee and Mayo was a one-year coach here. And all of a sudden, here comes Vrabel to coach the Patriots. And now they're,
I was going to say, let's be honest. Robert Kraft, who does belong in the Hall of Fame, by the way, and he'll get there one day, but he had as great as he was when he bought the team, okay? And for those from a certain generation, you remember, this team was going to Hartford. They were, of all places, they were going to Hartford, and he saved them, he bought them, he invested, he built the new stadium, he built Patriot Place, you know it. I mean, he made it a nice destination beyond the god-awful Route 1 traffic getting in which is a joke. But Robert Kraft had a really bad 5 years or there. He bet on Belichick instead of Brady, which is going to go down as one of the worst decisions in the history of sports. What did Brady do? He won a Super Bowl in his first year. I mean, what a disaster. And he's also he's so interested in being liked and loyal and all of that he's stuck with his almost gentleman's promise to hire Gerard Mayo, who was so unqualified. To be a coach, was so out of his depth, so awful, so terrible. And they lost a year of potentially Vrabel. But here's the irony in all this. The 1 year they had Mayo, what does Mayo do? The one thing you didn't want him to do. He goes out in a meaningless Week 17 game at Denver, and the son of a bitch wins, right? He wins, which cost you a draft spot to go from 2 to 3. And everybody knew that, number 2 was going to be Jaden Daniels, who Jaden Daniels, people may or may not know this, before he went to LSU, he was the Arizona State quarterback for a couple of years under Herm Edwards. Then that blew up and he got the hell out of there. And so I have a soft spot for Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels is also frail, thin. He doesn't have an NFL QB body. He's going to be killed before he makes it 7 or 8 years. But at the time, a couple of years ago, you settled for Drake May, who was the 3 of 3, right? There was Caleb Williams, who was either going to be 1 or 2 with Daniels, and then you settle for May. In hindsight, it's funny how things work out because May is clearly going to be the best of the 3 based on personality, based on body size, based on mobility and arm strength and build, which is a whole other thing for the Patriots, which they've never had, right? They've never had a quarterback that can actually run. That's like a whole fascinating thing, but he's not a skinny running quarterback. He's not like Lamar Jackson. He's not Jaden Daniels. He's more like Josh Allen, right?
Right.
Except if you remember Josh Allen, it took him a few years. He was pretty bad his first few years. May has not been bad. He's gotten much better this year. Today was not a great day for him, of course. But he seems, at least in year 2, as I remember it, ahead of Allen. Allen at year 2,
I would say so,
chucking interceptions left and right and reckless, and was running physically, hurting his body, where May seems at this point very coachable. He seems to have a real – did you see Vrabel after the interception today on the sideline? How much did you love that when they were showing that on TV?
Right.
Of the head coach, like really connecting with the quarterback. And I couldn't be more excited about where they're going in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. I'm starting to get the vibes when, Bledsoe took off in his second year, 94. Bledsoe, people forget that the Patriots in 93 had the first year of Parcells, their first year of Bledsoe, who was a rookie. And then that second year, it didn't seem like they were going to go in a positive direction, but then they went on a 7-game winning streak in the 94 season, ended up losing in Cleveland to Bill Belichick and the Cleveland Browns in a very, very dull cloudy mid-afternoon, early afternoon playoff game. I'll never forget it. I actually thought that team was going to the Super Bowl, but this year, this team kind of feels almost like they're
not going to the Super Bowl. Sorry.
I'll argue this. The 94 Patriots had actually beat Stan Humphries and the Chargers during the regular season that year, who did play in the Super Bowl.
They did.
Yeah,
and they
I know.
Absolutely annihilated by the Steve Young.
I know. They did.
That was the Steve Young, Deion Sanders.
Oh, yeah. Nobody was stopping that team. Not even the Cowboys.
No, they trounced the Cowboys that year. But, the Patriots, I mean, look, Parcells and that crew, they brought credibility back to the team, but I didn't think they were that good. Bledsoe is an interesting. I mean, I actually the day that the whole Patriots' fortunes changed, in that that famous day, where Mo Lewis crushed Drew Bledsoe. Unless I'm conflating things 25 years later, which I don't think I am, I'm pretty damn certain I was in the right field bleachers at Yankee Stadium watching the Red Sox play the Yankees that day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in like 25 years ago at this point. God, are we old? But
I know.
What a way to just change the whole trajectory, right? And you know what was fascinating about that team too, not to get too down the rabbit hole, but if you remember, after Brady took over, and it was amazing, and perhaps the best thing that Bill Belichick ever did, the ballsiest move he ever did before he met his 19-year-old girlfriend. The ballsiest thing he ever did was when Bledsoe was cleared to play, he said, I'm sticking with this kid. Yeah. And let's be honest, back then Brady
One second. I'll be right back. My cat's here. He just wants to leave. I'll be right back. I'll be here. Keep talking. I'll be 30 seconds. Stops. Come on.
Well, now I'm flustered, but
sorry about that. I keep the door closed just to keep sound contained in the room, and he wanted to leave.
Brady took over for Bledsoe, and then Bledsoe was cleared to play. Bledsoe was considered one of the best, first round, number one pick overall from Washington State. Pac-10 was loyal to that back then.
Yeah.
Brady had the it factor. He just had it, but he wasn't a statistical stud, right? He was a game manager. He really was. Yep. He was throwing for 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and not turning the ball over kind of guy. He was like Neil O'Donnell. Remember him?
Yeah. The Steelers, 95. Yep.
He was like that kind of guy. All right. And Belichick said, I'm sticking with this kid. And then something else happened, and people may forget this. In the AFC Championship game that year, which was at Pittsburgh, where the Patriots should have lost, according to Vegas, by 2 touchdowns,
right.
Brady got crushed.
Yep.
And Bledsoe had to go back in and won the game.
Yep.
And then what did he do? He went back to Brady.
Yep.
For, the Super Bowl. And then there was the famous, if you've ever watched the footage of the Super Bowl, like the Madden Summerall, which I know you watched it live, but if you go back and watch it on YouTube, watch the Patriots' last drive, okay? And you'll get chills, okay?
Because
you'll see John Madden saying, I don't like what the Patriots are doing. They should take a knee, go for overtime. I don't like this. I don't like this. And then they started going downfield. There was a big play by ASU, J.R. Redmond. You remember him?
Yep, J.R. Redmond. I remember that. He ran. Yeah, he got that ball. It was gone for
another ASU Sun Devil.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Madden said, I like what the Patriots are doing. And then he made that quote where he said, it's giving me chills.
Yeah.
And he was so prescient. I mean, this was in 2001, right? Yep. Where Brady was a nothing. And he was saying, what Brady is doing right now is giving me chills. And this is a guy who has forgotten by 2001 more football than you and I will ever learn times 100 in our lifetimes, plus 50 years. And he said, I'm getting chills from what this guy is doing. And then, of course, the rest is history.
Unbelievable. That drive was unbelievable. And the thing about Bledsoe, too, in the AFC Championship was he had that big touchdown, but for the rest of the game, he really didn't do much. And I think the thing about Brady that was so much better than Bledsoe was that Bledsoe always had a better arm. He had the deep ball. But Brady was a more precise passer. And also he did exactly mentally, Brady gauged the game better and also didn't make a lot of those mistakes. The problem with Bledsoe, too, a lot was on blitzes. He'd get taken down because he had no footwork. He'd also force a lot of passes. It was a very frequent interception thrower, just like he had done against the Packers in Super Bowl 31. He had thrown a lot of interceptions.
The game passed him by. I mean, he's from another era. He was the old school, slow quarterback with a cannon arm who couldn't move.
Right.
And the other thing that sticks out in that game, by the way, I mean, I feel like, you could relive it.
Yeah.
Who was I talking to the other day? It must have been Kim, not today, but maybe last week, where I mentioned how in my lifetime, individual sports moments of like complete euphoria. Number one, I'm not talking about necessarily the most significant in the grand scheme, but just in terms of emotional release. The number one moment for me was the Johnny Damon grand slam in Game 7 again. That was like, it's happening. Like, holy crap, it's over. Another moment, not quite as big, but a big one, was the Ty Law interception of Kurt Warner in the Super Bowl. Now, that was much earlier. The game was still in play, but that was like, holy crap, this team is completely for real. Like, the Super Bowl, and back then, the Rams, I mean, they were a juggernaut, right? The one turf. They were unbeatable. And Kurt Warner was, perfect. And here comes Ty Law, and just right before halftime, right? If I recall correctly.
Second quarter.
Kind of close before halftime.
7-3. No, it was 14-3 at halftime. So that happened in the beginning of the second quarter, and then they had the David Patton touchdown was the second. They were 14-3 at the half in that game.
Yeah. I think that was the second touchdown to go up 14-3. I could be wrong.
The first touchdown was the Ty Law interception. And then the second one.
Okay.
Yes, it was. Yep. And then the David Patton pass happened with a few minutes to go in the second quarter. Then it was 2 Vinatieri field goals after that. Yeah.
I'm looking over at the chat, which I don't usually do, and somebody said Brady to Moss. And so I was at the game at the old, no, was it? Yes, it was the old Giants Stadium where the 16-0 Patriots went to 16-0. And Brady set the record to Moss. I was actually at that game, and I remember talking to my friend who was a Patriots fan, and the Giants were just fighting their way into the playoffs. And I remember saying, like, man, they've got fight in them, and they had nothing to play for. They had already clinched. The Giants were the scrappy team. They were going to be like 9-7 or 10-6. They had already clinched the playoff team, and Coughlin, who was a BC guy, as we all know, he said, we're not going to rest. We're going to fight and punch them in the mouth. And it took a hell of an effort by the Patriots to win. And I remember thinking at that time, like, wow, this team is real. And,
I never wanted to face that team again because there have been 4 teams that gave the 07 Patriots a run for their money. Maybe 5. It was the Eagles, the Ravens, the Colts, the Giants, and then it's the Chargers, even though they didn't have LT and Rivers and healthy or even playing for the most part. We had a tough time in that AFC Championship when Brady got hurt. It was nuts. And
I got to tell you, I remember that game vividly well. And the Patriots, they wanted the 16-0, and they fought like hell to get it. And the Giants fought like hell with nothing to play for other than pride to deprive them of that. And the Giants came damn close to stopping it. But it also was the game where Brady to Moss set, the 50 touchdowns. And it was a blast to see, and you won, and you thought, okay, we're never going to see these guys again. And
that was nuts. And then they kept winning. I was monitoring them in the playoffs. I'm like, okay, they beat Tampa Bay. All right. Then when they beat Dallas, I'm like, oh, geez, here we go.
I remember then, the Sunday before the Super Bowl. So I was at Madison Square Garden to see the Celtics play the Knicks. And a lot of the Giants were there. And like I remember Plaxico Burress and some of the other ones were there. And they got their loud standing ovation, sitting courtside, Celebrity Row, as they call it, at MSG. And, I don't know, the way the New York crowd reacted to them, it's like they knew something. I hate to say that. I'm not a fan of New York sports, obviously, or their people, but they did believe. I'm just being honest. They were so loud for and this is of course before Plaxico Burress shot himself in the leg. That's another. We can talk about that too. That was a big case in New York. I remember vividly. But they just, it's like they knew something. I don't know.
Yeah, they were a team of destiny, and they reminded me a lot of the 01 Patriots. They had that up and coming quarterback who never really, he beat Brady in the Super Bowls, but he never rose to Brady's level. But their defense played exactly the same with the same ferocity that the 01 Patriots defense had when they played the Rams.
Let me ask you this: so Eli Manning, okay, is about as average a regular season quarterback as you'll ever see in the NFL. He is nothing. Yet he won 2 dramatic Super Bowls over the best team in history.
Yep.
And he was a playoff guy. There are is that a Hall of Fame player? Does he get in because of what he did on the ultimate stage, even though he was so average otherwise? What do you think?
I'm never going to say that Eli Manning belongs in the Hall of Fame, but if he gets in the Hall of Fame, I think that there's an argument that can be made based on the fact that he did beat the Patriots, and he probably has some stats there that are probably sufficient enough to make the argument. So from a constructive basis, if I had a choice, I'd say no, and I hope not. But from a constructive basis, I'd say that there's an argument because those 2 Super Bowls are huge. I mean, I think Edelman should be in the Hall of Fame because of the 3 Super Bowls.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's a winning player and has probably the most famous reception in NFL history on the ultimate stage, in the ultimate win, the ultimate comeback, the legacy cementing game of his team, his quarterback, his coach. But Edelman's another perfect example. He's not a stat guy. He's just a winning player. But so is Eli Manning on some level.
Right. Yeah, I think the thing too is that those giant teams had defenses that, I mean, as much as Eli Manning did not necessarily right. He didn't necessarily have great games. I mean, he put up 17 points the first time, 21 points the second time, which are not astronomical numbers against the Patriots defense. That second Patriots, well, let's put it this way. That 07 Patriots defense was slightly on the downside. Junior Seau, Mike Vrabel, Teddy Bruschi, and who's the fourth one? Seau, Bruschi, Vrabel, Seau.
Useless.
Yeah, and somebody else I forget. They were all older. Rodney Harrison. They were all out of the league in another year or two.
Yeah.
And then you had a defense when they played the Giants next time around. That was the 32nd ranked defense that was completely in it. They had basically Vince Wilfork and a bunch of decent players, but a lot of them were young and inexperienced. Like McCourty at the time, I believe was only a rookie or second year player. And the Giants didn't really knock down the doors offensively. They got it done when it mattered. But their defenses held the Patriots' offensive down enough both times where
the Patriots lost the 2011 Super Bowl because far be it for me to defend her or quote her, but as the former Mrs. Tom Brady said, my husband can't be expected to throw and catch the ball.
Yeah.
And Wes Welker, I mean, how much do you love that guy? But Jesus, man, catch the freaking ball. That's it. If he catches that ball, they win. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is though about that play is that Deion Branch was over on the left wide open. And the thing is, I think it was only second down. So if they had actually thrown it to Deion Branch and he got 5 or 6 yards, by the time they got the third down, it would have either got the first down or they would have been a couple yards away from the first down. And I always say, man, I wish Brady just threw it. But it's hard to pass up on Welker when he's a slot receiver. He's 15 yards down the field. Like you said, he's the number 1 receiver on the team that year.
It was Edelman, before Edelman.
Yeah, that's right.
Same thing. And you know what's crazy, though, is who would have thought at that point that they're going to win another 3 Super Bowls?
Right. 100%.
It's crazy.
100%. And that Super Bowl, the Super Bowl 46 to me was kind of like the new age Super Bowl 31, where you had a lot of Patriots that were in that game, that were on that team. Like Edelman was on that team. Gronk was on that team injured. You had Devin McCourty and a few other guys. Stephen Gostkowski, I believe, Stephen Gostkowski was a rookie on 07, but he was on the 2011 team.
By then it was Gostkowski. Yeah.
Right. All these guys didn't have, and that was my big concern playing the Giants the second time, was I thought we had a lot of players that weren't on the team that lost the first time to the Giants, and they all kind of didn't come in with that, we're upset we lost 4 years ago. They kind of came in like, this is a new experience for us. And just like the old 96 Patriots, they lost. But with the 96 Patriots, a lot of those players were back in 01. And when they came out against the Rams, Lawyer Malloy, Ty Law, Bruschi, so many other players, Otis Smith, many others just came out with a ferocity against the Rams. And when the Patriots got back, good.
There was no way in early 2002, which of course is just a few months after 9/11, that the New England Patriots, a team that literally their name is based on, Minutemen fighting for liberty and we're going to lose that Super Bowl. And everything about that event was perfect, just the whole night. Now, one thing in hindsight for me is not perfect about that night, but at the time was. You may remember that night at the Superdome was just, so when I grew up, my favorite band was U2, and they did the halftime show, and I've been to many U2 concerts, best of my, biggest fan imaginable. And their halftime show, they played their best song, Where the Streets Have No Name, and they unveiled, all the names of these people. And that was just such an awestruck moment. I mean, it was just incredible. And other than that, because at this point in my life, like U2 is dead to me, I can't even acknowledge their existence, take that out of it. But everything about that night, other than that, as I look back, was just perfect. And there was no way that a team post 9/11 named the New England Patriots, who were introduced as a team for the first time, the classic underdog, the world is on fire. And I don't say this to minimize anyone else's experience, but if you lived in Manhattan at the time, it was, these were bad times, and today's not the day for this, but I watched all that stuff with my naked eyes from 5 blocks, literally, and fled and all of that, and just so much craziness was going on in the city at that time. And this is after, by the way, the World Series, which was right after when George Bush came, and it doesn't matter what your politics are, he threw a strike. You have no idea what that meant to people living in this city at that time. But there was no way that the New England Patriots in early 2002, with what was going on, were going to be destined to lose that game. I feel.
It was an incredible time, it was an experience. Those couple months, I mean, especially the first year after 9/11, it was just a time unlike any other time in this country. And other, things like sports had almost like a elevated, feeling to, like the 2001 World Series was an incredible series. And it was shocking because the Yankees had won so many World Series that particular season, they were not as good as they had been, but they kind of, just like the 2013 Red Sox, they kind of upped their game, but they ran into heavy pitching.
You're right. And it's interesting because I obviously hate the Yankees, as you know, but I got to tell you, the same way it was right for the Patriots to win. Yeah. And I know the Yankees this is in their heyday they were just a joke. Many people feel if ever there was a time for the Yankees and New York to win, that was the time. Yeah. It didn't happen. Scott, I don't agree. U2 is, well, back then I felt that way, but anyway, let's not get serious.
But I mean, can you imagine if there had been a Subway series back-to-back years, though? because the year before in 2000 was the famous Subway Series, which was the Mets were kind of serious underdogs. And I remember the Clemens Piazza moment was the biggest moment from that series.
Well, Roger Clemens saying he thought he was throwing the ball to first base, except he threw a shard of bats directly at Mike Piazza halfway down the first baseline. But then again, Roger Clemens has never been the most credible reporter of facts in history either. Yeah.
I saw it. I'm like, oh, I just threw it to get rid of it. I'm like, dude, no, you did not. And Piazza just kind of walked towards the mound like, you want to go right now?
Probably the steroids. I mean, honestly, what you know about Clemens, and this is, of course, before Balco and all that. And what you really knew about Clemens and his history of misremembering and all that. I mean, he really embarrassed himself. But
oh my goodness, that
was crazy.
That was wild. Now, what was your reaction during Super Bowl 36 when Tabucky Jones, they stripped the ball from Warner? Tabucky Jones goes flying towards the end zone. I'm losing my mind. It's 24-3. I'm like, this game is over. And this game goes from absolutely signed, sealed, delivered to the Patriots to basically turning into the 1986 World Series, Game 6.
I didn't feel that bad. My recollection is the game time touchdown was Ricky Prohl, right?
Yep.
And at that point, did I think the Patriots were going to win? No, because the Rams were a juggernaut. They had just won the Super Bowl by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
Remember the extended ball at the goal line?
Yes, I do.
Half an inch short. But the Rams were the Rams. The Patriots were this, up-and-coming team and whatever, and it's a perfect story. But you also knew who the Patriots were, and they were, like, awful. They never win. They're the Patriots.
No.
Also,
it was New Orleans. We had lost 2 Super Bowls in New Orleans in '86 to the Bears, and then the Packers, '97 to the Packers. There, January.
Packers, January '97, '96
right.
season.
Right.
And let's be honest. I mean, the Packers game was, they just lost.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears game, I think I was in the 7th or 8th grade at the time, and I remember watching that. And my recollection is the Patriots had a 3-0 lead. They were ahead in the Bears Super Bowl, and then it got so out of hand so quickly and was so absurd. I think I talked about this with Kim. I don't know how this came up, but it got to the point where William Refrigerator Perry was scoring touchdowns as a prop bet, but not Walter Payton.
Payton.
You know what? For the Bears fans out there, blame your head coach. Don't blame the Patriots for sucking. That was disgraceful.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Walter Payton does not get a touchdown in the Super Bowl. One of the greatest, in my opinion.
He did.
Yeah.
By the way, wasn't that like the first prop bet ever? Didn't that invent prop bets about whether like Refrigerator Perry will get a touchdown in the Super Bowl? And of course, the Patriots being what they were, a complete joke at the time. Yeah. They're the ones who would let some 350-pound fat defensive lineman with no real skills just roll into the end zone.
We came back with Mike Vrabel, though, in the future. We got him a couple of touchdowns and two Super Bowls, which was all.
He was an athlete.
He was.
He scored, a few touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just in the Super Bowl.
That's right. They throw in Richard Seymour as fullback and throw him in as tight end, and those are great amendments to the offense. It was unbelievable.
How much, as you're watching the current Patriots, by the way, and you're just enjoying the ride, even though today was not so enjoyable, even though you got the right result, how much are you just loving the fact that Vrabel is the head coach? He is a Patriot through and through.
Yep.
He's through the system. He's through the culture. And he seems so likable. He seems so tough. He just embodies what you seem to me anyway, what you want in a head coach. And it's just, and he's likable. I mean, when you had Belichick, you loved him because he was the best ever. And he's just an assassin, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't really like him. You just liked him because he's an asshole, but he was your asshole, right? Vrabel is just like, you gotta love this guy.
Oh yeah.
The players actually enjoy him. yet respect him. It's like he's found a happy medium between being tough, authoritarian figure, but players coach at the same time.
Right.
I mean, I think he's such an asset with free agents and cap space and the team buying in. I love this guy.
Yeah, it's like what the Celtics used to do for years. They'd hire Chris Ford or K.C. Jones or Tommy Heinsohn as head coach.
Jimmy Rogers.
Right. Yeah, a lot of guys that were former Celtics for the most part. Yeah, Jimmy Rogers.
Jimmy Forrest.
Right. That's a rare one right there, but yes. ML Carr.
Oh God, ML Carr.
Yeah, ML
Carr, whose most famous moment was waving a towel at the LA.
Right. That's right.
Getting beer thrown in his face by angry LA fans, and like, well, let's make him coach clearly, and make him GM too, right? I mean,
yeah. Oh my goodness.
Those were dark days for the Celtics, aren't they?
I think about the Patriots now. One of the things I like about this team so much is I think for Drake May, I was very much battling a lot of fellow Patriots fans years ago that were the fire Josh McDaniels campaign kind of started in the fan base. And I argued that I think that this is a wrong quarterback here. It doesn't have to be Brady, but I think that you have to have a quarterback that has the intangibles that works within the McDaniels system. And Drake May, Drake May has those. Is he Brady level? No, but he has a lot of attributes that are befitting of what Brady used to do that made him a very successful. The offense is very smooth. I did not think the offense was smooth today. I think the offensive line was hampered. The running game was also bad because Stevenson was out as well. But I thought that, and Booty got hurt as well. But I think that overall, when you watch the offense again, there's kind of that flow. And I kind of like that old Brady, Edelman, Gronk rhythm. And Hunter Henry, I compare him to Al Horford on the Celtics, where he's kind of he's that very consistent. Yeah. He brings a lot of consistency.
Never going to be a superstar, but do what you need and to be that side piece of what you need. Totally agree. Totally the Al Horford.
Yep. He's been good. And I think that, DeMario Douglas was a very good receiver. I like Booty. I think Booty's had a lot more improvement. I think DeMario Douglas, he has shades of Troy Brown and David Patton to me. But I think that adding Diggs on top of those receivers has kind of opened up Douglas and Booty more this season as well. And it's really become a nice receiving core, in my opinion.
It is, although I admit to getting intoxicated by the idea of, could they make a trade for A.J. Brown or even Jalen Waddle?
Yeah.
Somebody at T. Higgins or whatever. I think, I guess I'm a meathead in that regard. I want the skill players. I'm not the kind of guy who's like, let's draft linemen, okay? Even though you need to have all that. I'd like to see one more really good, skilled receiver. I think you have a moment in time. You have a second-year quarterback who's really good. And let's be honest, and I'm not saying he's Tom Brady. I'm not. No. But at a year 2 comp, he's head and shoulders above Brady. I'm talking just in terms of skill at year 2. I'm not suggesting he's ever going to be nobody's ever going to be Tom Brady, but I think Drake May's skills, physical skills, are probably better than Brady's. The thing is that Brady was just, the full package, the ultimate winner, the ultimate assassin, the ultimate preparation guy. And I mean, I don't think you're ever going to see anything like him ever again, but no. I just think that get this guy some more weapons and maybe a running back. I'm not a big Ramondre Stevenson's guy. I know he didn't play today, which means he didn't fumble today.
We should be an 8-1 team if it wasn't for that Raiders game. All we needed was one of those 2 touchdowns and we would have won that game.
God. Yeah. No, he's not a bad player, but he's let's just say he's fumbled a lot over the years.
Yeah.
I think this team is good, and they're just a few pieces away.
Yeah.
I'm not a football guy, meaning I'm not an analyst. I'm not one of those. I'm a fan. I'm an educated fan, but most educated fans tend to trend towards give me great skill guys. Whereas a lot of the football people will say, you need a line, you need this. So putting all that aside, I want to see a few more skill players. Build around this quarterback. You know, they drafted a lineman last year. He's pretty good. Short arms or not. Line today was atrocious.
Yes.
They were brutal today. So there's still some issues there, but I really, maybe it's the meathead in me. I want to see more offensive firepower.
Yeah, they need that, and they got a great base right now. I think that running back wise too, I thought Antonio Gibson going down for the year was a little bit detrimental because he was a nice rotational back. Jennings had a pretty nice day today, though. I thought he kind of got Jennings had a pretty nice day at running back today, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them use Henderson more. I mean, he's explosive. You know, you can't judge college how it translates to the NFL, but Henderson is also exciting because, again, he's not the kind of player the Patriots usually have. Wait a minute, you mean you're allowed to have a fast, explosive running back? You're allowed to have athletes? I mean, that's like a whole novel. I mean, they have an athlete at quarterback. They've got an athlete at running back. This is like not the Patriot way. We're allowed to not be slow and flying. This is great.
That's what bothered me. You know, one of my friends and me used to butt heads a lot about Belichick's drafting. I always thought Belichick's drafting was better, but he had a real negative attitude. But the DK Metcalf passing up in favor of N'Keal Harry was devastating. They could have had DK Metcalf on this team.
I agree. It makes me sick. Although at the time, again, I'm an ASU guy. N'Keal Harry is an ASU guy, so you get a stud player you love in college to go on your team, you love it. I mean, I'll give you an example. Never mind the injury that happened last week, but last year in college, you know, a lot of you people watching this, they don't know anything about ASU football. I get it. And, you know, you only heard of Cam Scatterboom in that crazy game against Texas where they got screwed, by the way. But that's a different story. But that guy has always been a beast since he's been at ASU. The guy, he's just unbelievable. And I was hoping to God, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was like, I would love to see the Patriots just draft a bruising Neanderthal, meathead, short fire plug running back who's going to run through a brick wall. His career is going to be 5 years because he just physically, you can't take this kind of abuse. But this guy is going to be great. And, you know, he ends up on the Giants. And what happens? Until last week, the Giant people here in New York, they love him. I mean, they are obsessed with Cam Scatterboom, even though he's done for the year. And, man, I wanted that guy so bad on the Patriots. But when they got N'Keal Harry, different skill set, but I felt great. I'm like, this guy is a stud in college. He's a Pac-10 receiver, you know, which is, you know, that's a conference known for receivers throughout the years. And he gets to the Patriots and he just sucks. I mean, he's just useless.
Yeah.
I mean, his best play was a touchdown in Kansas City that they took away from them. That's the only thing he ever did in a Patriots uniform. And it didn't even count. It didn't even count.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I'll tell you, though, like the running backs, we only had like two great running backs, I think, from 1990 onward, Curtis Martin and Corey Dillon.
Corey Dillon, yeah.
That's it. And everybody else has been, this takes away nothing from Kevin Folk or other running backs that have been on our team, Shane Vereen, other players who've been very, I would say, standard running backs. Like
never had studs under the nose guys.
Yeah. Like imagine if we had like a guy with the skill set of Maurice Jones-Drew on some of those Patriots teams, what him and Brady would have done together, considering that Jones could rush, but he could also receive. That would have been one of the most deadly duos, I think, in NFL history.
That's one of the greatness, or some of the greatness about Tom Brady was, too. There were years where he just played with junk.
Yeah.
You know, your best receiver is, you know, Brandon LaFell or what was his name?
06.
The guy with the wide eye.
Rashay Codwell.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah,
I mean,
they didn't pay Deion Branch. That drove me. I was so devastated when they didn't re-sign Deion Branch that year. I'm like, oh, that's what killed that original dynasty was they let Ty Law go. They let Vinatieri go. They let McGinnis go. They let another guy go. Richard Seymour they traded. So it was like Law, Vinatieri, Branch, a whole bunch of guys like that. And they were all gone. And then, that's right. It was Vinatieri, Branch, McGinnis, and I keep going blank on the fourth one. I might have already said it. But anyways, they lost 4 key guys there. Then they lost Seymour. And it was just like, oh, my goodness. Yeah, it was Law, Vinatieri, McGinnis, and Branch. Those were the 4. Then they traded away Seymour. And it was just like that whole dynasty just
things work out in weird ways. I mean, if you remember, I think it was 2003 after they won the first Super Bowl. Before they trade Ty Law.
Lawyer
Malloy.
Yeah.
Lawyer. They trade Lawyer to Buffalo.
Yeah.
They come out in week 1 and they lose 31-0.
Oh.
Remember that? Against Buffalo.
Yes, I do.
And what happened? They won the Super Bowl that year. They went 0-2, I think, that year, and they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. They lost to the Redskins
31-0. I remember that.
They lost week 1, but I think they lost week 3 or week 4 to the Redskins. Yeah, that was the second loss. They almost barely beat the Redskins, but they lost that game at a crucial time in the game. I mean, maybe it was the Arizona Cardinals. It was somebody like that. It was the Cardinals or the Redskins.
I just remember getting slaughtered by Buffalo.
Not to forget, though, we beat the Bills 31-0 in Gillette Stadium the very last week of the season. What a
poetic justice.
It was. Oh, it was incredible. That I was going nuts during the Panthers Super Bowl. I think that's one of the most underrated Super Bowls ever played because we had just beaten. We had cleaned out the whole league that year. We had just beaten back-to-back MVPs in close games. We beat the Tennessee Titans and Steve McNair, co-MVP, 17-14 in a frigid game.
4-degree weather.
Yeah. And then we beat Peyton Manning in a snow game with Ty Law picking off Manning 3 times, 24-15. Yeah. So I'm figuring we're going to the Super Bowl against the Panthers. I figured they'll be solid. They had just beat the Eagles and broke McNabb's ribs in the NFC Championship. And I'm like, this team shouldn't be able to hang with us. All of a sudden, I'm watching this game, and it's no score. Then a score explosion. Then there's no score in the third quarter. Then the fourth quarter, I'm just losing my mind.
Yeah. Back and forth. Yeah.
Oh, it was nuts. And then at one point, it looks like we have them beat. Brady throws a pick in the end zone. Then Del Holmes bobbing the ball down the field. They score on us again. We're down. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way we're going to lose this Super Bowl. Come on.
That would have been a terrible loss to lose to Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good game. And, again, it was 2 years, 2 out of 3 years where it took a Vinatieri last-minute kick to win.
Yeah.
Didn't take that in the Philadelphia Super Bowl with McNabb puking on the sidelines.
Yep.
That Carolina one was a sneaky good game.
It was.
But it gets lost in history. And, in fact, if you look at the Patriots dynasty, there are 6 of them, right? Everybody remembers the Rams, obviously. Everybody remembers the Seahawks. Holy crap, was that win? Everyone remembers the Falcons because it's the greatest victory in the history of sports.
Yep.
People remember the Rams just because of recency. But what gets lost in that is the Carolina and Philadelphia wins, the 03-04. When in reality, those were the best Patriots teams. They never lost. And Brady was I don't want to say he was a game manager, but he was kind of a game manager. They won on defense and just we're just gonna take your heart and take your soul and physically beat you with good defense. We're not going to turn the ball over. We're going to be fundamentally. I mean, that's when Belichick was at his best, right?
Yep.
Those teams. They just never lost, and they didn't win dramatically. They didn't win. They won ugly, but they always won. And it's interesting. Those teams were so much better, really, than the dramatic 16-0 team, which was a flashy team. But what did they do? The flashy team flamed out, right? Or even that team that lost to the Eagles the second time. That team was anointed back-to-back champions. There's no way they're going to lose. And they got worked by Carson Wentz, for Christ's sake.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tom Brady threw for 512 yards.
Oh,
and
Nick Foles, you mean? Nick Foles, you mean?
Nick Foles, God, Carson.
Yeah.
Nick Foles. Same difference. Right.
Right. What's the difference?
Got hurt.
Well, Belichick, I mean, that's when Belichick really did the Patriots organization dirty, because we had already had Donta Hightower out for the season. Julian Edelman was out for the season. And then, what's his name, got knocked out in the game. The receiver there got knocked out. That ended up playing. Brandon Cooks, who played for the Rams the next year in the Super Bowl against us, he got knocked out. So you got Malcolm Butler on the sidelines. This guy had been the hero of Super Bowl 49 against the Seahawks. He had a very solid performance against the Falcons. And at that particular point, I think Stephon Gilmore might have been on the Patriots against the Eagles. And he sits down Malcolm Butler.
I don't think
you're right. I think you're right. I think Gilmore was only on the Patriots.
Well, Gilmore had that huge play in the Rams Super Bowl. I
cannot remember, but
I don't think he was on the Eagles Super Bowl team, but someone will correct me.
Yeah, I'm going to check into that, but I know we signed him. I got to check into this right now. I got to know.
He had a huge pass breakup in the Rams Super Bowl. Not like the Jason McCourty play. That was a bigger play.
Yeah.
And also, Gilmore had that huge play against Jacksonville in the AFC title game where he broke up.
Yeah.
Huge pass.
Yeah. He played for the Patriots in their loss to the Eagles in Super Bowl 52. He was on the team. Yeah, okay. He was on the team. Yeah. But they could have had, they had Butler and him. And when he sat Butler, I think there's a lot of Patriots fans that, even some of my friends, they still, even when we still won against the Rams the next year, a couple of my buddies, they don't forgive Belichick for that loss, because, and I think this is what really caused the end of the Brady Belichick era, in my opinion, because I think Brady at the end of the day was like, yeah, we came back and beat the Rams the next year, but you still cost us a game against our best chance of winning against the Eagles would have been, because the thing about the Eagles that game was there was a lot of third and longs, there was a lot of fourth down plays in that game. And if any one of those stops happened, that could have changed the outcome of that entire game. And I think that's what kills us.
Here's the sad thing about Bill Belichick. First of all, he's the greatest coach in history. He is.
Right.
But he's also a classic Shakespearean, tragically flawed egomaniac. I mean, his ego probably cost them that Super Bowl. I think his ego with some of the draft picks and personnel decisions he made, including let's get rid of Brady. Let's be honest. The last few years for Bill Belichick, it's not going to hurt his legacy. He's still the greatest. But do you really feel the same way about Bill Belichick today that you did maybe 3 or 4 years ago? I mean, his last couple of years in New England were a joke. He ran Brady out. He probably cost him the Phillies Super Bowl. He couldn't get an NFL job. He could probably because he's an asshole, frankly.
Yeah.
He goes to North Carolina. They're a joke. His life is being managed by his 21-year-old, bimbo girlfriend, which is probably elder abuse at this point. It's kind of a sad coda to his incredible career. I mean, it's just the way it is. And that's all arrogance.
Yeah. It is. And that's what got under my skin, was that it was believed that Malcolm Butler got in an argument with Steve Belichick. And I think that the rumor I heard was that Butler said to him, the only reason why you're a coach on this team is because of who your father is. And that's the unconfirmed story that I heard, that I happen to believe, that cost him that game. I mean, if you want to sit him, and the thing is, though, Belichick cost us too in the late 2000s with Welker. Welker jotted out with Rex Ryan, and he sat Welker at the beginning of that game against the Jets.
About sucking toes or something.
Right.
Yeah.
We were 14-2 that year, and I thought the 2010 Patriots were going to go all the way. And we had beaten the Jets 45-3 earlier that season. Then he sits down Welker. It throws that, and then I think he did it again against the wasn't it against the Ravens too or something? Well, no, maybe Welker got hurt or something, and he was out of that Ravens game. But
I don't remember. Disaster. But when they lost to the Jets in the playoffs that year, many people believe that was one of the best Patriots teams ever. Yeah, and so Belichick is kind of an enigma. He has more success, but he is kind of in many ways a Shakespearean flawed character. He could have many more. His legacy could be all that much better if he wasn't so freaking arrogant and stubborn.
Yeah, I agree. And even when he did to think of Dallas Thomas was he was trying to drive to practice that time. And it was a major, it was a blizzard. And he decides to hold it against the guy. Sometimes it's that old school coaching.
He was never, I mean, Thomas checked out after that.
He did.
Yeah,
your safety comes first. And occasionally as a coach, I understand they want to have these rules for all the players, but at the same time, you gotta let maybe something like that slide. I mean, there was a blizzard.
I would think your player is useless if he's breaking bones or worse because he can't get there because of, terrible snow and whatever. And, it is interesting because at the time, if you remember when they signed Adelius Thomas from the Ravens, that was an incredible, wow, what an incredible signing. Addition by subtraction. You're immeasurably better. Baltimore is that much worse. This is just such a huge pickup. And the reality is the Thomas signing was as significant as the gum on the bottom of your shoe. Never did anything. And it ended up over this nonsense over, you're 10 minutes late for practice because you couldn't drive in a blizzard.
Yeah. Unbelievable. What was your pick for the best Patriots Super Bowl victory? Regardless of, let me rephrase that question. What do you think was the best game of all the Super Bowl victories?
That's a tough pick.
It is.
The easy answer is either Seattle or Atlanta. Seattle was a classic, great game, back and forth, incredible. And then, of course, at the very end, you had emotional distress to incredible feelings of good like you'll never experience in sports. And, if you remember the Seattle game, it started out with the Patriots are in great shape. And then there was that incredible pass by Russell Wilson on the sideline that was bounced around. You're like, you've got to be kidding me. Now there's
first catch.
First and goal, 10. And now you're freaking out. You're waiting for beast mode and you're like freaking out. And then God bless Pete Carroll. Here comes Malcolm Butler. So on the one hand, and that was a good game, by the way, like back and forth.
Mm.
So if the criteria is what was a better 3-hour experience, there was that. But then you go to just and again, in terms of a single moment, what could be better in football than Malcolm Butler? And I mean, just incredible.
Yeah.
But what they did with Atlanta was just a perfect storm. You would have had to say down 28-3 late in the third quarter, you need 37 different things to happen and break perfectly. And they did. And it took the Hightower strip sack.
Yeah.
It took the Edelman incredible catch. It took the Amendola touchdown. It took the Amendola 2-point conversion. They don't win without that.
Yep.
And then, of course, because they were the Patriots, unlike the old Patriots or the Red Sox, when that game went to overtime under the old rules, right? You don't have to share the ball if you get a touchdown. When the Patriots won that coin toss and they got the ball, unlike everything you're programmed to believe about Boston sports growing up, that whatever can go bad will go bad, you knew at that moment, you're laughing. They're done. It's over. You're giving Tom Brady the ball after coming back down 25 in a little more than a quarter and saying, here, score a touchdown and the game's over. And so which is the greatest? I'd have to say Atlanta for the history, the historical significance. But I have to say the Malcolm Butler moment was the biggest despondence to euphoria moment.
Yeah.
Of like the full range of emotions in sports that you could ever have.
Oh, yeah.
It was literally over to impossible to lose like that.
Yeah.
But
I was recovering from the flu. I was probably another day or two from getting rid of the flu during the Patriots-Seahawks game. I got up off the couch and yelled so loud that I nearly fainted on the floor because I was so sick. And I remember I did not celebrate when Edelman got the go-ahead touchdown because we've seen the story before. We've seen, you know, the Rams, the Panthers, the Eagles, the Giants again. All those Super Bowls at some point had big drives by the quarterbacks and the other teams late in the game. Some of them worked out, some of them did not. And I'm like, well, here we go.
It's funny that you say that because during the Seattle Super Bowl, about 5 days before that, I destroyed my ankle.
Oh, wow.
Comminuted fracture, just shattered my ankle and was, immobile. And in a full cast, couldn't move. And the kind of thing in my house where if I want to go from upstairs to downstairs, I'm like bouncing on my butt down the steps. Yeah. Trying to use crutches, can't really use them. And so I was down in my basement. We have a home theater in the basement, and I'm lying there, and I've got my casted leg up on, elevated, watching. And after, Seattle had the ball, 1st and goal on the 2-yard line with, under a minute, you're just like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
And then when the Malcolm Butler interception happened, my brain forgot what my leg couldn't do because I was trying to jump up and I couldn't. I was just like, like this was insane. Like, your sports euphoria doesn't make the nerves communicate with a shattered ankle.
Oh no.
And I just remember, trying to get up and I couldn't. It was so exciting. So then I basically, after they won, came out of the basement to go to the second level of a 3-level house. And so what I had to do is like crawl up the stairs because like I can't move. Literally, you're like crawling because your leg is. And I spent the night rather than go upstairs. It's like very taxing to go up all these stairs. I just laid on the couch in our living room, put it on, and watched for hours and hours and hours the post-game show, everything, and you just forgot about your destroyed leg.
Yeah.
And, another thing what was interesting about that game was the Seattle game today probably doesn't happen because Edelman gets pulled from the game. No question, he was concussed, if you remember.
Yeah.
He took a hit and was in la-la land.
Yeah.
And today they would have pulled him out of the game for 10 minutes, right?
Probably.
Oh
my goodness.
I mean, in many ways, the Seattle game was more enjoyable because the Atlanta game was so depressing. But at the very end, it was insane. But I think historically, how could it not be the Atlanta game? Just because, Brady already was a legend. The comeback king, never loses, does this. And, they have NFL films footage of him on the sideline down 28-3 saying we're going to win the game. And they do.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. It was wild. I know when the Seahawks Super Bowl, the final drive, the drive started off, and I remember saying the following thing. And so what's kind of cost them a lot of Super Bowls is that they give up big plays.
Oh, yes.
Very early into those defining drives by the opposing team. Like the Mario Manningham catch happened almost right off the bat in Super Bowl 46. It was like, here we go. Then the play with Tyree. So the very first play the Seahawks run is a left deep pass off to the left to Marshawn Lynch. He must run about 30 yards right off the bat. I'm like, here we goddamn go. Here we go. They're already doing it. And then when the curse catch happened, that's your spectacular catch. Which typically I'm like, oh my goodness. And then for Patriots fans, we're all thinking here, 3 straight Super Bowl losses are on the line. We haven't won it in 10 years, and now we're going to lose 3 in a row.
Who knew that night would be basically act 2 of the same dynasty?
Right. Oh my goodness. And I thought the Seahawks at that point were going to be that next team of the decade team. I mean, it was legitimately
they were the best team. They were coming. They throttled Denver the year before in the Super Bowl that was in New York. I mean, just destroyed them. And Russell Wilson was Russell Wilson. They had obviously Marshawn Lynch. They had Pete Carroll and his incredible the Legion of Boom, right? Defense.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the Patriots, they did it in a just miracle finish. But even with that I mean, that moment is unbeatable, but I think historically I'd have to say Atlanta just because
Atlanta was wild.
That was legacy cement. Yeah.
When they got to their 12th point, so they got the field goal and they were down 28-12. I said at that point, I said, you know what, there might be a shot here, but I think some things need to happen. And one of those things I thought that needed to happen was a turnover. I'm like, they got to get it. And Edelman had actually been caught on tape saying that we need to get a turnover. And once they got the strip, Hightower got it, I said,
Dante Hightower.
Yep. I was so worried they were going to fall short because they needed 2 2-point conversions too.
Yeah. And that Amendola one was like, holy
back
crap.
then. Yeah.
It's happening. It's happening. I mean, it's really happening. And I mean, once they got the ball in overtime, though, I mean, really, did anybody have any at that point? Like Atlanta was.
Yeah, I remember Matthew Slater. We want the ball. I'm like, yes, we do. We're taking the ball.
That fiasco again that had happened, right? With you know, giving the Jets the ball in overtime. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, never take the ball first. And I think Belichick had done that one time against the Broncos on in an overtime. I think it was that comeback game they had against the Broncos. They let the Broncos take the ball first so they could pick the wind direction. Yeah. And then the Broncos got the ball and they couldn't do anything. We got the ball, went down the field and won. That was one of the greatest regular season games ever.
Well, that's when Belichick was his prime. I mean, he was literally factoring in win conditions, and you understood that. But in overtime in the Super Bowl, you know, under the old rules, certainly you're taking the ball.
Oh yeah, you have to, and I think though in football, I think the Falcons fans are right. Both teams should get the ball at least once. You know, I think that should be a rule. One thing I don't like about football these days, and this goes back to the Packers-Cowboys game that happened earlier this year. I do not like regular season ties. The NFL has such few games that you can't have fans sitting there for 4 hours watching a game that ends in a tie. My idea is like have each team possess the ball, you know, twice maybe, and then just have a field goal kickoff, or just keep kicking field goals to some kicker misses, and
I don't like the college overtime.
I do too.
I mean, for regular season, never season deciding, but college overtime is kind of interesting to me the way they do it.
Yeah, I think that should be a regular. I think you're right. I think they should implement the college rule for regular season, and then for the postseason, it should just be an ongoing possession for possession until there's a winner.
There should never be a tie. And, God bless however many years ago when the NHL got rid of ties. And they even went to this gimmick 3-on-3 overtime, which is really cool, actually, because there's so much open ice up and down. I mean, the shootouts I'm not a fan of, but at the end of the day, you can't have ties.
No. And even hockey, hockey was the biggest tie sport of them all, and even they outlawed it. They just did. And I like their new rule. It's like 3-on-3 for 5 minutes. Then you get a shootout. You're sending teams home. In the postseason, though, they leave it on where it's just an ongoing overtime, which I like as well. Just let it go.
Well, I will tell you this. Nothing is more intense in sports than Stanley Cup playoff hockey in overtime when one goal wins. And it could be in 2 minutes or it could be in 3 hours based on however many, because again, it's up and down, full strength. I mean, when the Bruins are in like intense playoff hockey, I will tell you, I don't think anything is better than just crazy NHL playoffs when you care. If you don't care, it's nothing. But when your team is in it, playoff hockey is the best.
It is, especially when obviously we're Bruins fans. I'm guessing you're a Bruins fan without question. And when the Bruins are in it, I love it. It's great, and I'm always upset. Not only that they got eliminated, but it's like, man, I kind of enjoyed watching all this playoff hockey night in and night out as well. It's tough.
I mean, listen, hockey fans are a different breed.
Yeah,
and I've been fortunate. I went to a Stanley Cup final game against Vancouver in 2011. I took my son to a game against St. Louis in the Stanley Cup final in 2019. And I'll tell you something, that when that crowd is engaged, it's probably better than any other Boston crowd. When they are like locked in, it is crazy in the Garden when the Bruins are playing for something that matters.
Yeah. That's a team that honestly, it's shocking they've only won one Stanley Cup this century, because from about 07 onward, they've probably had about 6 or 7 teams that were legitimate contenders.
I guarantee you they probably have more regular season wins and points than any team in hockey since whatever.
Yeah.
And they blew it in 2013 against Chicago. I mean, my God, did they blow against St. Louis, where you remember they were down 3-2. They were down Chara, who had a broken jaw.
Yep.
What do? They come out and win Game 6 in St. Louis to bring it home to Game 7, and you're like, they're going to just throttle St. Louis. And you know what? They got worked.
Yep.
They got pants. It didn't even
2 Stanley Cup losses in Boston. That's just, come on, guys. You can't. I can understand why they lost the Chicago one, because of what happened to Bergeron, what happened to Char.
Yeah, but don't forget that loss to Chicago. They had a 1-goal lead, and they gave it up and lost.
Get ready to go to Game 7.
Yeah, 1 minute. I mean,
right? Yeah. Oh yeah, I almost took the TV out actually after that game, because I was expecting, okay, Game 7, here we come, and all of a sudden, just bing bang boom, Chicago wins the Stanley Cup. It's like, you have to be kidding.
The Bruins.
2013, I mean, yeah.
I mean, historically, they're a great team from the 80s on. They only won 1 cup. They lost in 88 and 90. They lost in 13. They lost in 19.
Yeah.
They lost that 1 year to the Rangers in the playoffs when they won the President's Trophy, when they were by far and away the best team in the league. We know they set a record a few years ago. They had, literally the greatest regular season in history, and they couldn't close out Florida. They even had Marchand on a breakaway to end the series. And then what do? They lose that game and just lay down and lose in 7. They
messed it up with the goaltender rotation. They had a nice goaltender rotation that whole season, and they broke away from that.
They really blew it over the course of like 20 or 30 years. And then you look at you look at the Bruins of my youth, and the idea that they never won a Stanley Cup with Ray Bourque, Cam Neely, Adam Oates,
Don Sweeney.
Terrible. Don Sweeney, who was a much better player than he is general manager.
That's correct.
The idea that they never won with, the idea that Cam Neely never won is, that's a crime against hockey.
It is.
I don't know how much of an executive he is, but I could not have liked a hockey player more than watching a guy who would just kick the living crap out of anyone and score more goals than anyone at the same time.
That's why he was my favorite player probably of all time, because I loved, plus as an athlete, I was always one of those athletes that was talented, but I could also play a rough style of basketball, even when I played street hockey. And like Neely was my guy. And Jeremy Jacobs decided to throw a jab at him right before the parade started in 2011, saying Cam Neely got done as an executive what he couldn't get done as a player. And everybody rightfully booed Jeremy Jacobs for that remark, when it was Jeremy Jacobs' fault, not Neely.
When Cam Neely, if you remember, he took that cheap shot from that fucking
Ulf Samuelsson.
That heel of Samuelsson.
Yeah.
And, he took cheap shots from Claude Lemieux. And you remember a couple of years later when he just beat the living crap out of Claude Lemieux. And if you watch that, what's that website about, like hockey fights or whatever? Before you go watch like all the Milan Lucic fights, which are really good, by the way, go watch the old Cam Neely stuff. He was just a monster, but he was skilled. He wasn't like a meathead. He was the most feared physical force. And, what did he do that 1 year? He scored 50 goals in under 45 games or whatever it was. And when they had him and Adam Oates together, they were like peanut butter and jelly, the two of them together with Bourque, yet they never won anything. And that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's horrible. And I thought the teams that I thought were pretty solid too was Joe Thornton and Sergei Samsonov a couple of years later. Joe Thornton couldn't play in the playoffs, so that was the problem with him. He was a great regular season player, but then when it came to the postseason, he kind of disappeared.
They had a lot of Bruins who were really good back then, who they ended up trading. And, remember Craig Janney was good. I think they ended up trading him for Adam Oates, actually. And Oates turned out to be better. Another good one back then was Joe Juneau, but he never really panned out. And then they would bring in some other guys that you got excited about, but they never did anything. Remember when they traded for like Al Iafrate? You're like, I love it.
Yes, Iafrate. I remember him. Yep.
Yeah, he had that.
Iafrate. Jeez, that's a name.
10-mile-an-hour slap shot or whatever. Yeah. But they just never went anywhere. I mean, I remember when I was in college, there was this incredible sports bar in Tempe, Arizona. It was called McDuffie's. I'm sure it's gone. And, this is like in the mid 90s, and they had every game of every town of everything. They had God knows how many screens. Yeah. And so me and a bunch of other Boston people, we would go and we'd watch Bruins games, and there'd be kind of like a hockey section. Okay. And, the Bruins people would be here, and in Arizona, there was a lot of Red Wings people from Detroit. And this and that, and some of the other people there at the time were watching. I don't remember if it was Flyers or Penguins, but it was Mark Recchi's family.
Oh, no kidding!
Because they were watching Mark, and we became friendly with them. And this is, of course, before Recchi ended up on the Bruins and winning a Stanley Cup with the Bruins.
Right.
But it was really cool. We'd be in Arizona, which is not a hockey place in the mid 90s. But there were like Northeast and Midwest transplants who would all go and watch games, and it became almost like a community of like hockey meatheads, and it was a fun time. Yeah. It was McDuffie's Sports Bar in Tempe, Arizona. Are you still there? I don't know. I don't think so.
Wow, unreal. What's your give me your all-time Bruins starting lineup? 3 linemen, 2 defensemen, and a goaltender. All time.
Well,
let's say 70s onward instead. Not all-time hockey. 70s onward.
The 2 defensemen obviously are Ray Bourque and Bobby Orr. I mean, no disrespect to Chara. Whatever. Yeah. If you're going to say, this is where you have to be careful, because you don't want to use a recency bias in terms of there's no way I'm not putting Neely up there. The old people would tell me, even though it's before my time, you have to put Esposito up there before my time. So I'll put him up there. And then at that point, how meathead do you want to get? I mean, how do you, maybe this is recency bias. You just want to put Bergeron up there based on longevity and what he did and what he meant. So I would put him up there, sure. So Esposito, Bergeron, Neely, Bourque, Oates. And, I'm going to go with Tim Thomas.
For goalie. There you go. I can't even pick my lineup now because you nailed it. You nailed it. I think that Esposito and Orr you have to pick from the 70s without question. I think you go with Bourque and Neely from the 90s. Then you go with Tim Thomas and Bergeron. It is hard to let Chara, not select Chara or Marchand.
No disrespect. He is not Bobby Orr and he's not Ray Bourque. There's no way around that. If we're picking a frontline team, it's okay to be third with that group. I mean, Bobby Orr, many people think is the greatest ever. I mean, obviously Wayne Gretzky, that was there. But Bobby Orr revolutionized the game, made it popular. By all accounts, is the greatest defenseman certainly ever to play. Probably many would say the best player ever. He has to be in there. And Ray Bourque.
Yeah. And then you got Tim Thomas, that goaltender, who in 2011 had one of the greatest postseason. Is he Patrick Roy or Martin Brodeur? No, but
he was for that year.
He was for that year.
Exactly. He was. And it doesn't matter how weird he was or how people didn't like him or whatever. He was dominant in the 2011 playoffs. And you just got to ride it and love it. So, I think he's the greatest Bruins goalie ever. Even for that 3 or 4 year period, I don't care.
Yeah, I think so as well. Rask was always very good, but I don't know what it was about Rask. He just maybe he'd have a bad game here and there, but Rask was a very good goaltender, but I don't think he ever.
Good. But did you really have confidence in him ever?
Yeah.
You assumed he was going to let in the leaky goal. When Tim Thomas was Tim Thomas, he was a brick wall.
Yeah, I agree as well, and I think that's.
I think Rask gets a bad rap in many ways because he had a great career. He did many good things, but you know what? The irony is, and as great as Rask was, he never won. Never won. He was on the 11 team, but he was a backup goalie.
Right.
But that was all Thomas. But, he didn't do it in 13. He didn't do it in 19. He didn't do it in 14 against the Rangers when they lost that series.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
He never won. And Tim Thomas dominated and won, the playoff MVP. So no question, Tim Thomas over Rask, even though the body of work was for less years, but the results were much greater.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with the pick of Neely, you got to have the tough guy. Esposito was just a great. I mean, he just knew how to body people, get goals. It's just, there's a lot of great players. And what's crazy about the Bruins organization is they arguably have probably 5 of the greatest defensemen to ever play the game. Eddie Shore, Bobby Orr, Brad Park, Ray Bourque, Zdeno Chara.
Brad Park. Wow, look at you.
Yep.
I remember when I was a kid, he had that big goal in Game 7 against Buffalo. I must have been 10 years old or maybe.
Yeah.
These are great guys, but this is kind of, the Bruins are kind of like that for such a traditional great team. They're kind of like the lovable losers. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you remember with Ray Bourque, they had to trade him to get him a cup. I mean, it's kind of sad. And this is before the duck boats and everything else came out. The way Boston would celebrate is Ray Bourque going to City Hall Plaza as a member of the Colorado Avalanche, hoisting the Stanley Cup. Man, have times changed. Wow. How rock bottom pathetic was that?
Yeah. It was horrible. We were all celebrating it, and I remember just loving it that Bourque won it, but it was devastating. It wasn't such a bad feeling watching Marchand win with the Panthers because he had won it as a Bruin.
Yeah.
But it's like Mookie Betts winning with the Dodgers right now. It's like, okay, I hate to say it, but it's not bad because at least they won it here. It's not like Wade Boggs and Roger Clemens winning with the Yankees when they never won it here.
Mookie Betts makes me want to throw up. I mean, he's won 3 World Series. He should have always been a Red Sox, but I will tell you this. Mm-hmm. Him and Brad Marchand are 2 different people. Marchand is a Bruin. He's a Boston guy. Mookie Betts, let's be honest, he's an LA guy. He's just that never should have happened. But Marchand loves Boston, loves the Bruins, didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Even recently, you could see it. What was it, like a week ago when he returned? You could see the emotion.
Yeah.
Granted, at that point of his career, Marchand is, kind of a role player.
Yeah.
Where Mookie Betts, oh my God, I mean, they just gave up a guy in his prime. So it's
my conspiracy theory about the Mookie Betts trade is, I think this has always been my conspiracy theory. I say it all the time. I am convinced that Major League Baseball and the Boston Red Sox, I'm convinced that Major League Baseball went to the Red Sox and said this because of what happened with the alleged cheating scandal in 2018's World Series. You're going to have to trade a player of the Dodgers choosing to the Dodgers. And because it made no sense to me that they would trade Mookie Betts to another team that was such a serious contender.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me because John Henry is a cheap hedge fund guy.
You're right.
He made his money on buying and selling. And what did he do? He went to the Florida Marlins. He won. And what did he do? He gutted. He sold high. He made his money. He comes to the Red Sox. He did it. He broke the curse. He did all these things. But then he wants to make money, and he's cheap. Bottom line. And he's been doing it since. And, on the one hand, it's hard to criticize a guy who's won 4 World Series in Boston, 2 in Florida. I mean, literally 6.
Yeah.
But he's putting that all aside. He is terrible for sports. Yeah. I mean, he destroyed the fabric of the Marlins. He destroyed the fabric of the Red Sox. But yet, in his defense, he's like, I won, sold high, made money, and that's what I'm supposed to do. It's hard to criticize, but as a pure fan, you look at the Red Sox and you say, John Henry, just for the love of God, sell the team and leave. I mean, how do you get rid of Mookie Betts? How do you get rid of all these other guys? And look what you get a bag of baseballs in return, right? I mean, what do they get from Mookie Betts? Alex Verdugo, Jeter Downs, and Connor Wong.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, Christ.
It's unbelievable. And what's crazy about the Red Sox 4 World Championships is great that every time they went to the World Series, they won. But for the better part, most of those rosters were significantly different than the World Series champion that preceded them. The 04 and 07 might have actually had the most likeness to one another with Schilling and Poppy and a few others, but that team is still drastically different with guys like Pedroia and Youkilis. And Pedroia would be on 2013 as well, but then him and Poppy, but then most of that roster was also significantly different with guys like John Lackey, John Lester, Koji Yahora, Stephen Drew, many other players like that. But it's Stephen Drew had a pretty solid defensive performance in 2013 for us. It wasn't the best hitter, but he had that home run. Like the JD Drew and Stephen Drew always got hammered, but they had the big home runs in both postseasons.
13, of course, with the marathon destiny and the Johnny Gomes home run, and of all people to do it, just a lovable guy. I mean, 13 is not the most memorable team,
no.
But in terms of a moment in time and a year that they needed to win with the marathon bombing and all of that, I would say as far as the Red Sox titles go, after 04, that's probably the most memorable one for that reason.
Yeah.
07 probably fades into the background, and it's kind of like that Eagles Super Bowl for the Patriots that just kind of it's there, but it's just kind of it's Colorado Rockies, not exactly a big thing, but 13 was. I went to a World Series game at 13. Of course, the game I went to, they lost. I think Michael Wacha pitched for the Cardinals, who later became a Red Sox. Those teams, those Red Sox teams were amazing, and they're trending up. But I will tell you, if you had said, maybe a month or two ago, what's the state of your teams, most likely to win? This is what you would have said about 2 or 3 months ago. You would have said the Red Sox are a disaster.
Yep.
The Bruins are a disaster. The Patriots are not great. And you would have said, God damn the Celtics with what they got rid of in Tatum's injury. But you probably would have rank ordered it. You still would have probably said the Celtics are number one, holding your nose, most likely to win, but not really. You probably would have said either the Patriots or Red Sox were 2 and 3 with no chance, and the Bruins are awful. Now, fast forward a couple of months, and you say, holy crap, the Patriots are far and away one, right? Probably you would say the Red Sox are 2. They're going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You would say the Celtics are, this year, they're playing with house money, but Tatum will be back. They're going to be good, not what they were. And, the Bruins are a distant fourth. But all of a sudden, those teams look a hell of a lot better today than you would have thought a couple of months ago. Yeah.
It's incredible how things have changed around. The Patriots have just risen right to the top again. And I thought the Celtics
to the NFL.
Yeah. I thought the Celtics were going to be, I honestly thought all last year, I thought this is a back-to-back champion all the way. And then I don't know what happened once they hit the postseason, but it seemed like Drew Holiday kind of faded too.
I don't know. I follow the Celtics very closely, as you know.
Yeah.
Last year, on paper, they should have trounced. There were so many red flags during the regular season, big leads blown, nights they were taking off. They just didn't seem always serious. They got to the playoffs in the second round. They got punched in the mouth by the Knicks a couple times. They came back, and then Tatum, goes down. And then they won the next game without Tatum, and you're like, all right, well, maybe. But they seemed off last year. Holiday, I agree with you. He faded. He's having a great year, by the way, in Portland so far. 5 games. Who cares?
Yeah.
But, you look at them now, and, they have no Tatum. They have no Holiday. They have no Porzingis. They have no Cornette.
Yeah.
And what are they supposed to do? I think the answer is what they're supposed to do is do exactly what they're doing so far. They're as middling gets. And the only thing that will be interesting is that if they are in a playoff slot at the end of the year, and Tatum is theoretically healthy enough to go, then you'd have to give him at least a couple of weeks to ramp up in the regular season.
Yeah.
do you do it? I would say yes, because I don't think there's any real dominant team, frankly. Maybe other than Oklahoma City, but in the East, there's certainly no dominant team. If the doctors say yes and they're a legitimate team, I would say do it.
Yeah. I was kind of pondering a couple of days ago when they went 0-3. I'm like, they ought to do what the San Antonio Spurs did. And when they lost David Robinson for the year, they couldn't win a single game. They ended up winning the lottery that, quite frankly, the Boston Celtics should have won. And they got Tim Duncan out of that. And they ended up winning 5 titles with Tim Duncan over the course of about the next, probably 16, 17 years.
Look, obviously I want the Celtics to win and be good. They had a nice little 3-game streak last week. Yeah. But I look at them, and this is not a criticism. I think it's just an observation. I don't think Jaylen Brown is the number 1 guy. I don't care what his stats are this year. I think he's a nice complementary number 2. Anthony Simons, nice scorer, doesn't play any defense. Is he a winning player? Not really. Yeah. I love Peyton Pritchard, but he's, a complimentary piece. I love Derek White. He's probably my favorite player in all sports right now. But Derek White is not, he's a glue guy, admittedly. And then, I don't think you're winning with like Neemias Queta and, the rest of these guys. And so to me, they're kind of blah.
Like be hit or miss all year.
Yeah, I think they're like a 41-41 team. They are what they are. I just think it sucks that what happened to Tatum, because if Tatum doesn't get hurt, do they get a little more creative about maybe keeping some of those guys? I don't know.
Does Horford stay? Does Horford stay too? I bet you Horford stays.
I think Horford stays for sure, but I'm not sure that makes a difference. As much as I love Al Horford, and I might have even gotten carried away a few months ago when I said Horford's number should be retired, and I got a lot of heat for that. That's how much I like Al Horford.
I loved him.
I might have gotten a little excited with that.
They retired a lot of Celtics that probably weren't necessarily, look at the retired numbers in Boston. It's like, should they retire some of these guys' numbers? Especially some of the guys from the 60s. It was like they retire every guy's number on the team. It's like
Losky.
It's like, come on. And they retired Auerbach's number, and he never even played for the team. Like, let's retire number 2. Retire his name. Do the let's put him in his name up there or something.
The name Losky is much shorter than Auerbach, so maybe there. But I watched the Celtics, but let's be honest. In years past, they lose, you get pissed off. Do you really care at this point? I'm watching the game the other night against Philadelphia, and I'm fully expecting them to blow it and lose, even though when they're up 20. It was happening. And I'm just sitting there like, they're going to blow this. They're going to, and now they didn't because
they won by 1 point.
The Phillies screwed up. But I just sat there, no emotion, just watching, being like, okay, that's the Celtics. And then the next night, here comes Houston, very good team. And what did Houston do? Demonstrated what a real NBA team with talent is versus a middling NBA team with marginal talent. And, so I have no real expectations for the Celtics, which sucks because
it does.
This Celtics permutation should have been a multi-year dynasty, the same way the KG Pierce and Ray Allen ones.
Exactly.
And the injuries kicked in, and that kind of sucks.
It does. And that's what frustrates me so much, too, as a Celtics fan, because I thought that even Bill Russell said it in his interview with Kevin Garnett when he first joined the team, because I think you're going to win at least 2 championships here. And then 09 went out the window. And in 2010, they were up 12 points for a good portion of that game in Los Angeles. Then it just all came crashing down. I also blame the referees for a lot of that, too, quite honestly.
They did, and they had injuries in 2010, too. But I remember in 2009, the year Orlando went to the NBA Finals, when KG got hurt, they were like something like 22-2. They were just throttling people, and then once KG got hurt,
it was over.
Yeah.
I remember they struggled on Christmas against the Lakers that year, but that was the only game they really struggled in that first half of that season. And I thought they were going back to back for sure. They could have won 3 in a row. I still think the one thing that killed the Celtics was Shaquille O'Neal. I think that Shaq made a critical mistake going to Cleveland in 2010. He should have come to Boston 1 year earlier.
Yeah.
And he had just enough left in the tank where he probably wouldn't have got hurt. He could play a consistent level of basketball. When him and KG were on the court, even though Shaq was in his last year, when they were both on the court together, you could see the floor spacing of opposing team offenses. They were stretching out because they couldn't do anything with all the size down there. You would have had Celtics, Lakers, Shaq versus Kobe in the NBA Finals.
You got Timu Shaq. You got Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, good old Rasheed. Rasheed was all right. Rasheed had a very good Game 7 in 2010, but the problem with Rasheed, due to his age, he couldn't. Once he gave that great few first quarters, the energy just came down from playing too many minutes, and he couldn't sustain it.
Years old, wasn't in great shape. Great player in his prime, but I mean, at that point, he was kind of washed. And, it is kind of. I mean, they end up with Shaq. I mean, the idea of Shaquille O'Neal being on the Celtics when he was just as washed up gets.
Right.
It's kind of sad. You almost wish it never happened for him, because Shaq is Shaq, and
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of guys who ended up washed up on the Celtics, but who handled themselves better, like Dominique Wilkins. He was a legit player. He wasn't great. He was washed, but I mean, Shaq on the Celtics was like, wow.
No.
I mean, that was like Michael Jordan on the Wizards. My God.
Yeah, exactly. Like Shaq gave us just enough. I like the size. I liked when him and Perkins were together because that was a nice big man rotation. None of them were great, but yet it was a nice rotation. And then they got rid of Perkins, which I thought was a mistake. I think Jeff Green was okay. He had that nice three in LeBron's face that one time.
For them. But how's this about Kendrick Perkins, though? How much did you love Kendrick Perkins as a player and hate him as an analyst?
I actually like him as an analyst because he starts a lot of trouble on the broadcast.
He is the worst, and he clearly has like Celtics bitterness.
I love it.
I think he's a clown and has no business being on TV. But as a player, I loved him on the Celtics. He was. I mean, when you had a defense with Kendrick Perkins, Kevin Garnett, and Rajon Rondo.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just relentless on D. Even if Paul Pierce didn't play much D, it was all right back then.
Right. I love the Paul Pierce-Ray Allen wing duo. That's going to be one of the best wing duos in history. I mean, they weren't Pippen and Jordan, but they if you look at a lot of shooting guard, small forward pairings over the years, that's got to be up there.
Those Celtics teams were so much fun. I loved Rondo back then, and obviously Pierce. And when they got Allen and Garnett the same offseason, I mean, with Danny Ainge, what a move. And they just became so enjoyable. And it's just a shame that they were one and done because of injuries. That sucked.
Yeah, it's horrible. And I didn't like losing James Posey so quickly either. He had, he signed a contract. I can't remember where he went afterwards. I know he was from Miami before he came here, but then he left. He went to Charlotte.
I don't know. I don't know, but they had interesting guys. They had like Leon Poe, PJ Brown, James Posey,
Sam Cassell,
Tony Petit. I mean, they had all kinds of interesting, just great Eddie House.
Yeah.
And Arizona State.
Scott Pollard.
Brian
Scalabrine. Yeah.
The white mama was on those teams. That's right.
Yep. Tony Allen was on that team too. Yeah, he was a good defender.
Those teams were likable and were fun. And
your all-time Boston Celtics starting five.
Wow. It's hard because there's so much history before me and so much.
Yeah.
So for example, the heart says I want to say like Robert Parrish, but how do you not say Bill Russell, right?
I know.
You know what I mean? So you'd have to say Bill Russell. Larry Bird clearly is going to have to be one of the forwards. And then you get into this thing. Like, what do you say? Can you pick Kevin Garnett? Probably not. He wasn't there long enough. So I'd probably have to say Paul Pierce, right? Or Kevin McHale. Okay. No, but here you go. Like you're getting, I'm gonna be biased. I probably would say Kevin McHale, right?
Yeah.
And when you go and then you go to the backcourt, you probably have to go a little farther back because they don't have historically good guards. So you'd say Bob Cousy, even though he's way before our time. And then who do you say for another guard? I mean, do you say Sam
JoJo
Jones?
White, Sam Jones,
or do you say Dennis Johnson? I mean, what do you say?
Yeah,
you know,
it's tough for me. The only thing I get stuck on. I don't know what these comments are going with here. Someone keeps making weird comments in the chat. I don't know what it is, but anyways, I always go back and forth on Parrish and Russell just like you do, because I think the thing is about Parrish, I just think he was a more physical force than Russell was.
Well, he was. I mean, if you go on YouTube and watch Robert Parrish and Bill Laimbeer and everything else Robert Parrish would just full on punch people in the face and kill them.
Yeah.
How do you not love that? On the other hand, Bill Russell is the greatest winner in the history of sports, bar none.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like it would be malpractice of the conversation not to say Bill Russell. I mean, how do you not?
I know.
Also, not that this has anything to do with the athlete, but how do you not factor in what Bill Russell was as a person and in terms of the larger meaning to life? I mean, the guy is just one of the most impressive public figures, not just in the world. He's just so important a person in history. As much as I love Robert Parrish and I love the idea that he wore 00, which I don't think anyone had ever done, I don't know how you can possibly not say Bill Russell. He's just the greatest winner in the history of sports.
So you got Russell, then you went with McHale, or did you put Bird at power forward?
Well, Bird is, I would say Bird and McHale with holding my nose, keeping Pierce out, because that hurts. But I mean, McHale, I think is, McHale. Now Pierce is Pierce, but McHale is McHale. So I would go with the 80s front court, short of Parrish. I would go with McHale.
Stick Paul Pierce at 2 guard.
I mean, if you're going to let me throw Paul Pierce as a guard, then
that's what I'm planning on doing.
I would say Kuzi and Pierce.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
what I'm thinking too.
Yeah,
because I think Paul Pierce, I think, did play some shooting guard for a while. I think when Walker was here, I can't remember if Walker was power forward and he was small. It might have been power forward, small forward that they both played, but I think they played some small forward shooting.
A lot of the old timers I know are going to say, "Oh my God, how do you not say Havlicek? How do you not say Cowens? How do you not say all of these other guys?" But that's because, you're talking about a team with just so many legends and you're asking, let's pick the starting lineup. It's hard. But that's what sports conversations are, these kind of debates. But, I mean, it's tough to leave Hondo out. But
it is.
But, that's – and there is recency bias. I never saw Havlicek.
There is,
He's before my time.
Right.
That's true.
I think at small forward, the Celtics have so many arguments. You have Havlicek, you got Bird, you got Pierce, and you got Tatum or Brown, arguably, at that position as well.
So Bird is non-negotiable, obviously.
Yep.
Larry Bird is going to be on any list of all-time greats of anything. When we have this conversation in 5 or 10 years, I think Jason Tatum is probably going to ascend to that list. And you could argue that he belongs there now. As much as we like Jaylen Brown, no disrespect, he's not in this conversation, I don't think.
Yeah, no, not at all. Who do you think is one of the most underrated players in Celtics history?
Rajon Rondo.
Rondo, yeah. Yeah, he was unbelievable in 2012.
I don't think they win even in 2008 without him when he was a young pup. He was a kid playing with, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and he was the engine that drove the team. His passing skills were just unbelievable. His defensive skills were unbelievable. His attitude. He had some personal issues over the years I'm familiar with. But I think I loved Rajon Rondo back then. In fact, we had a running joke when my son was born. I wanted to make his middle name Rajon. That didn't go over very well with the family, as you can imagine. But I back then I loved Rajon Rondo.
Yeah. He in 2012 too, he got progressively better. In 2010, he was really good. But then in 2012, he had some games again. I think he had like a 45-point performance against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was just out of this world. It was absolutely unbelievable. And his passing and his scoring, I mean, he just would take over games more and more. He couldn't shoot a free throw because of his hand size, but
yeah. But you could watch again if you watch videos or whatever, even on League Pass, they do it occasionally. You don't need League Pass. I need League Pass to watch the Celtics because I'm stuck in Knicks and Nets land. But if you ever see some highlights where they just show Rondo over the years with his passing skills, they're as good as anyone.
Yeah, Jason Williams.
As anyone.
AC Earl. I remember AC Earl.
Well, obviously, the most underrated Celtic of all time is Allah Abdul Dhabi.
Dino Raja was kind of underrated, though. He was a pretty solid Celtic, but he didn't play on any teams that were all that great. Someone said Rick Fox. Rick Fox was solid for a few years.
Well, Dino Raja had the problem of coming right after that great 80s team.
Yeah.
In the early 90s with Reggie Lewis, rest in peace, and that crew.
Yeah.
Where they were just kind of like, But, I mean, how underrated? I don't know. I mean, Dino Raja was a nice player, but I don't think he was, anything that great.
Let's talk about this subject. All right. Larry Bird never has a back injury. Kevin McHale plays less minutes. He doesn't get as many injuries. Reggie Lewis never dies. Len Bias never dies.
God.
What happens in the early 90s? How does that change the layout of it?
They're the Patriots. I mean, I don't know if any time in sports history you ever saw a situation where an NBA champion team, the 86 Celtics, who many people say was the greatest team in history, right?
Yeah.
Many people.
Yeah. And
these guys got Len Bias. I mean, what? Are you kidding me? Like the rich getting richer, and that euphoria lasted like literally less than 24 hours. Yeah. You add if you were, and we'll never know because Len Bias never played.
Yeah.
But if you had added Len Bias to that mix, Bird stays healthy, McHale's feet injuries don't kick in, all that kind of thing, you're probably, those guys played into the early 90s, even as they were. I mean, we're talking 86 with Len Bias and Bird and McHale at the peak of their powers. They probably win another at least 2, maybe more, 3, 4 championships in their peak. So it's, I mean, Len Bias is one of the greatest tragedies in sports history. I mean, the guy celebrated being drafted by making a poor choice, by all accounts, for the first time in his life, and it cost him his life.
Yeah. And they would have matched up so well with the Bulls teams because Jordan and Pippen, they would have had Reggie Lewis, who was probably one of the best containers of Jordan. Not that anybody ever really contained Jordan, but he kind of blocked Jordan a few times. Then you would have had Len Bias to go up against Scottie Pippen. And then you still would have had that established front court of Bird, Parrish, and McHale, who could have realistically downgraded to the third, fourth, and fifth best players on the team, which is a very deadly lineup when that's a bad term. Sorry, a very dangerous lineup when you think about it. And then you had D. Brown, like someone said, too.
It is. I mean, the whole thing about Reggie Lewis, though, I mean, he probably should not have been playing. I mean, they had a documented history of heart problems, and I mean, that's more a human tragedy than a sports tragedy because all the warning signs were there, and for him to drop dead the way he did is like Hank Gathers, right? Same thing, really. Remember from Loyola Marymount, Hank Gathers, the college player who had the heart problem and dropped dead on the court. But yeah, Len Bias, drafted right after Brett Doherty, right? Number 2 pick. After Doherty. Yeah.
The Celtics never got a compensation pick for that at all.
No, well, they drafted him, and then he was fully drafted and died a day later, right?
Right. Yeah, that's
they just
incredible.
Lost their pick, but they had. I mean, when have you ever seen the best team in the league get a top 2 pick, and by all accounts get for all intents and purposes, probably the best player of the draft, or at least, I mean, we'll never know because he never played. But
yeah,
Len Bias was terrible.
I think the biggest thing about the Celtics Lakers championships, and I think this really showcased itself even in '84 when they did beat the Lakers, but in '85 and '87 as well.
We had tickets. I went to all those Lakers Celtics
boy.
games.
Oh my goodness, that must have been nuts. That must have been wild. But they lacked athleticism. And I think when they started to draft guys like Bias and Lewis and D. Brown, they were starting to really up that athleticism that would have really given them a bigger edge in the late 80s, early 90s.
I agree. And, it's interesting. Back then, culturally and the way society looked at it, I think there were racial and cultural preferences with the Lakers and Celtics. I mean, the Lakers were a predominantly black team. The Celtics were a predominantly white team. And, given the way America is, a lot of people, it didn't even matter where you lived. I mean, a lot of the people liked the Celtics because they were the white guys. And a lot of people liked the Lakers because they were the black guys. And, you hate to think that that's how it was. But I think back then it was. I mean, the Celtics, other than Robert Parrish, were putting out a team of Larry Bird, Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale, Bill Walton, Greg Kite, Jerry Carl Bendit. I mean, Dennis Johnson, obviously. But, I mean, they were so different. I mean, I remember I remember a comedy sketch back then, and it was like Arsenio Hall would talk about the Lakers and Celtics and would just talk about, like, how does anybody on the Celtics get laid? Because they're just a bunch of ugly white guys. Larry Bird is just a big ugly white guy. Kevin McHale is a freaky looking white guy. And the running joke was, if it wasn't for Danny Ainge, nobody on that team would ever get laid because they're all just a bunch of ugly white guys. And I mean, that's what it was back then.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, that team was they were talented enough. They had a lot of shooting ability to keep them in games. Ainge could shoot a three. I also think Dennis Johnson's one of the most underrated point guards to ever be on any championship team. I think people don't understand that he had probably the hardest defensive assignment in NBA history, having to guard Magic Johnson in 3 NBA championship finals.
Dennis Johnson was one of the greatest defensive guards in NBA history and was a good point guard, a good player. I mean, he was a league MVP before he ever got to the Celtics. On Seattle, he won a championship. He went to Phoenix. He was really good. And he was kind of like the missing piece to make the Celtics great. I mean, he was on 2 of those championship teams in '84 and '86. And as you said, he would always have, that primary guard assignment. And, let's be honest, if he's guarding Magic Johnson, I mean, Magic Johnson's not like a 6'2" point guard. That's a 6'9" point guard. That's tough. I mean, just on the height.
Dennis was about 6'3", I think. Dennis was 6'3", 6'4", maybe.
He would lock him up as much as anybody could. I mean, Magic Johnson was going to be Magic Johnson, but I mean, you're not used to seeing a guy 6'9" who has point guard skills like Magic Johnson did. So, and Dennis Johnson is another one who died very young, unfortunately. Years ago. I mean, I think he was in his 50s, if that.
Yeah, young.
He did his coaching stint and whatnot, but there's a funny story about him and Larry Bird too, which we won't talk about. Where Larry Bird was, if you ever heard the story, how Larry Bird would say how he was never impressed by any other man in his life more than Dennis Johnson. If you,
yeah. Oh, he loved them. He loved them so much.
I mean, he was talking about, like, they would shower in the same area, and he was saying Dennis Johnson was far and away the most impressive man that he had ever seen.
That's so funny. It's a great comment that was made by Wilt Chamberlain once. Is Wilt Chamberlain said of all players, he would pick Larry Bird on his team first, and I think the reason for that is watching the success that Parrish and McHale had playing with Bird, and I think a lot of times Wilt Chamberlain had teammates that probably weren't the best at getting him the ball, and if he had someone like Larry, that would have been a heck of a duo.
I mean, that's the ultimate compliment from a guy, a stat guy like Wilt Chamberlain, but not much of a winner. Not really.
No.
He probably lamented, like you said, if I had a guy that skilled, I would have probably scored 70 points a night instead of 50 and won championships. But, he didn't have those guys. So that's quite a compliment for someone like that.
Question here, Mark. What was your best watching game? What best game you watched during an Olympic Games for our family? I don't think anybody's going to top what Dusty's saying here. For our family, it was the 1980s Miracle on Ice, and that's the greatest upset in sports history.
It is, and that, I mean, in terms of the Olympics, nothing's ever going to top that. Of course, no. I mean, if you remember, you know, I'm of a certain age. I mean, I remember the 1980 Olympics, but that game was not live. Okay, I think it was live on the radio, but by the time that game aired on TV, you knew the result. It's a little different. That you know, Al Michaels, do you believe in miracles? Yes. Actually, what was the tape delayed, which is a shame. But as far as the Olympics go, nothing will ever top that. I 10 or 15 years ago, I read an incredible book on the 1980 Olympic hockey team. Everyone, if you like sports and whatever, should read it. Talked about all the guys. And, you know, as you know, everyone on that team was basically from two places, Massachusetts and Minnesota.
Yeah.
And that's where they were all from. And, but, I mean, as far as the Olympics go, nothing will ever top the Miracle on Ice. I mean, that was a bunch of college scrappy kids beating Russian professionals, twice the size, twice as physical, twice as everything. And the only issue with that was not the gold medal game, believe it or not. And that's an amazing compliment to this team that they emotionally did that. And they had to come back 2 days later. And if you recall, they had to play Finland in the gold medal game. And, you know, you've seen a lot of teams who win emotional games. They blow their load and they can't rise to the next occasion. And you saw it in 2003, the Yankees and the Red Sox. Remember that? I mean, that horrible, horrible series. When the Yankees went to the World Series, you know what? They couldn't do it. They were done. They couldn't react to that. You've seen it in other sporting events where teams win these incredible things and they don't. And the U.S. had to play Finland after the Russians, and they did it. And that, thank God, because otherwise it would be a footnote in history and you'd forget about it.
Yeah, it's incredible. And that's what's crazy about that. It almost becomes like a trap game. And you have like this exhilarating win. Everybody's going nuts. I wasn't even alive when this happened, but I've been a historic, you know, studied it. I studied it. I studied it a while. I saw the movie in the movie theater when it came out.
Oh my God. I remember this in real life, and you're talking about movie theaters. Oh my God.
Yeah. I saw the movie in the movie theater, but I heard the story in the 90s when I was a kid. And my father, anytime I've ever talked to him about hockey, he brings that up, you know, immediately about what a game it was. And people forget that the NHL All-Stars scrimmaged the Russians and lost. The NHL All-Stars did. They couldn't even beat this team. And then it was like an amateur hockey team. It's just, to me, it's the greatest upset in sports history. It has to be.
Scrappy 19-year-old college kids being these professional assassins. And they did it. And then they went to the next game and didn't blow it. They still won. And that's incredible.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. That's a moment I wish I could have been alive for, quite honestly. I always say anybody that remembers like maybe the 60s, 70s to now, especially as a Boston sports fan, you pretty much get to see all the Russell titles, the big bad Bruins in the 70s. You have to deal with a lot more long suffering for the Red Sox than people from my generation did, even though we still dealt with a lot of it, you know, in the 80s and 90s. But yeah, it's it's kind of the ideal time, 60s to now. If you lived in that time span, you saw pretty much everything. You know, all the Boston teams won the championships. It's incredible. I wish I could have seen the Lake Placid game live, but I tell you, watching the story back though, it's amazing how powerful it is. Being someone that wasn't even born then, you know, and just watching it, it's like you can. Because I think at the end of the day, it's like the movie Rocky. I wasn't alive when Rocky came out, but it's a universal story. That's fiction, but I think there's stories throughout time that are they're timeless and universal in a sense that you can relate to it as an American. You can relate to it as a sports fan. And when you go back and watch it, even if you're not actually there, you can still grasp a lot of the power, even though you can't fully comprehend the time frame in which it happened. But it's amazing to me how gripping that single game was. If I go back and watch other highlights, it doesn't captivate me in the same way. But you watch the Miracle on Ice, it's like this is the biggest moment in sports history because I think because it's just that country, that national, U.S. Russia Cold War era, type of battle, and it's an American story. It is. It's
crazy too because no matter how old you are, and we all are, it's 1980, which is 45 years ago, and it's Al Michaels, and he'll be on Amazon Thursday Night Football next week, and it's the same voice. And it's, by the way, another Arizona State guy. If you didn't know, Al Michaels is an ASU graduate. He's still going. I mean, he was much younger, clearly then.
Right.
It does connect the generations. It's the same voice.
Yeah, that's crazy to think he's been broadcasting. I mean, the guy can literally look at me and say, I've been broadcasting sports before you were ever born, young man. Exactly. I know him best from calling Super Bowls and Monday Night Football, all those games. And
doing it forever.
He's an all-timer. He's an all-time great. And I miss the days of him and Madden. That was a great duo on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, that, and I mean, Madden and Summerall even, they were the class. CBS when they had the NFC and NBC had the AFC, and the AFC late game would be like Merlin Olsen and Dick Enberg, right? And CBS had Madden and Summerall, and those are the glory days in the 80s of the NFL that I remember so well.
Unreal. Let's have your Mount Rushmore of Boston sports players, one per major Boston sports team.
Well, football's easy. Brady, clearly. Basketball's tricky. I'm gonna have to say Larry Bird.
Okay.
No, again, Bill Russell has the resume, but Bird, I'm gonna have to say Bird.
Bird. Yeah.
For hockey, how do you not say Bobby Orr, even though he's a little before our time? I don't know how you don't do that. Now the Red Sox is real tricky. But again, you could go very old-fashioned and say Ted Williams, which I think on one hand you almost have to, although you just nobody changed the team more than like David Ortiz.
Yep.
But I'm going to have to go, if we're doing all-time, it's hard for me to say anything other than Ted Williams, who, if you look at the stats and recognize that he missed time in his prime during World War II and the Korean War. Not because of the war, but because he was flying fighter jets, literally. If Ted Williams didn't miss those years, he would be the league leader in everything historically. So I would say Brady, Bird, and Ted Williams.
I agree. I would have, my list would have 3 of the 4. The Ted Williams one's where I get stuck. So I picked Bird over Russell because I think that Bird won in a tougher era, meaning not competition-wise, but essentially more teams. I think the Celtics teams, this is not to take anything away from them, I think they had a lot of great rosters with guys like Sam Jones, Bob Cousy, John Havlicek, Satch Sanders, Tommy Heinsohn, a lot of guys around him that really built up. And that's not to take anything away from Russell's legacy.
Yeah, I don't think Bird's controversial. I don't think that's controversial.
Yeah. And I think that Bird also Russell did win an underdog title too, which was the 69 Celtics over the Lakers. That was a massive upset people forget about.
That's true.
But it's tough. But I got to go with Bird because I just think Bird's 3 titles almost hold the same value as Russell's 11 just because of the difference in era, even though it might be a tough argument or tough sell for some people, because I think he had to beat the Lakers, for one of those. But I think that Bird was a better player in the sense that he could maybe not defend as well as Russell in the post, but he could shoot that 3. Hi, Olivia. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. But, so I'll go with those 3. Brady, no question. Orr, no question. Nobody is better than Orr. Orr was robbed of 10 years of his career, quite honestly. Then for the Red Sox, I get stuck because here's the argument now that gets a little bit conflicting. Is I just said that Bird having 3 titles and Russell having 11 doesn't hold me back from picking Bird over Russell, but then I almost contradict myself when I say, well, I'm going to pick Ortiz over Ted Williams because Ortiz won more titles than Ted Williams, which is 3-0. But I just think Ted Williams is the better player. But
Ted Williams is the greatest hitter ever alive on this planet. And I don't know. I mean, look, he never won. That sucks. David Ortiz is, as clutch and recency has been so good and done so many important things to make that team credible. But I mean, Ted Williams is, I mean, I think it would be absurd not to say Ted Williams. Just as much as, and I love David Ortiz. I mean, love David Ortiz. And of course, I never saw Ted Williams play way before my time. But if you look at the stats, Ted Williams lapped the field with Joe DiMaggio. Okay. And his contemporaries, and he missed all those years because he's an American hero. He never won, that's true. But Ted Williams' stats, the 406 average, right down to the story of him, hitting, the story when in 1941 when he hit 406. Yeah. On the last day of the season, he had an average of like 399.6 something, 400, round up. And I think the Red Sox had a double header or something that day. And they said to him, you can sit out and take your 400. And he said, no. And so what did he do? He got 3, 4, 5 hits and ended up at 406. Said, I'll play it out and I'll crush the record. And the guy's just, I mean, it has to be Ted Williams. He's just that. He's better than any hitter who's ever played.
Yeah. Even though I'm going to pick Ortiz, which is controversial in this conversation because of the titles, I think the thing that holds back Ted Williams from winning championships is the era that he played in. In other words, when you look at the Celtics championships, majority of them are in the 60s, which is no trading, no salary cap. When you look at the Montreal Canadiens, tons of titles in a smaller league. They basically had a monopoly on players for many, many years. And since 93, you haven't, even in the 80s, you didn't see much championships out of them. And then you look at the New York Yankees, who, if you go from the Zoo era onward, have won 5 titles with Derek Jeter. But other than that, they haven't won the title in 16 years. They've only won, out of the 26 titles the Yankees have won, 5 of them have been won since 1980. Out of the last 45 years, they've only won 5 titles. The other 21 were won prior to 1980, where there's no salary cap. It's not the same world of sports. So what I'm saying is it's the same argument with Bill Russell that I used against Larry Bird, which is they had a monopoly on talent on those teams, and that kind of hurts Ted Williams because Ted Williams had to go up against a team like the Yankees that had, Yogi Berra or whatever for 10 years and Joe DiMaggio or whatever. You have all these players that never leave team because that's what hurt the Patriots dynasty. We talked about that, right? You have 3 Super Bowls, then Law's gone, Branch is gone, Vinatieri's gone, McGinnis is gone because of salary cap. And that Patriots team probably would have won a lot more in this era. But I'll let you step in now.
Yeah, I would say your Yankees argument is funny because this comes up in New York. They've actually won 27. Yeah. But a lot of these, New York Neanderthals who love to shove that down your throat all the time are 20-something years old. And in their lifetime, they're familiar with the 2009 Yankees and the late 90s Yankees. And that's it. Yeah. And, they like to talk about 27, but in their lifetime, what do they know? They know Red Sox domination, really, right? They've won 4 in their lifetime, and certainly since 2004. But that's, that is the same argument with the Celtics. And when we like to talk about 18, I mean, how many of those do people like you and me know? I know 81, 84, 86, 08, and 24. Now that's 5. That's not bad. Right. But I don't know anything about even the 70s teams or and of course the 60s where it was literally every year for almost 11 years or whatever the hell it was. I mean, the Yankees fans are an interesting bunch. Most of the modern Yankees fans, believe it or not, if you ask them who are the greatest Yankees of all time, they'll tell you Derek Jeter. Yeah. They don't know anything about Lou Gehrig. They've heard of Babe Ruth, but they don't know anything about DiMaggio. They don't know anything about Mickey
Whitey Ford.
They don't know anything about Whitey Ford. They'll tell you Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera. I mean, that's what they'll tell you. Yeah. Paul O'Neill. That's just
It's crazy. It is. And I had someone come after me as I was talking about the Red Sox, all the titles they've won so far this century. And they're like, well, the Yankees have won this many. And I'm like, well, let's take a look at like 96 on. If we take 96 on, it's 5 titles for the Yankees. It's 4 titles for the Red Sox. That's essentially 80 onward, 5-4. It's very close. And the Red Sox, quite honestly, have won 2 more recently than the Yankees have.
Yeah, it's even Stevens for all intents and purposes. And they don't want to hear about it too. That even before the '90s dynasty, the last time the Yankees won was in '81, which was the strike season. I mean, that's almost equivalent to LeBron's bubble championship. I mean, does anybody really consider that a real thing? Some people might, but the modern Yankees fan is living on the past the same way a lot of Celtics fans who admittedly will thump their chest and talk about 18 realistically in our lifetime is 5 or 6.
Yeah, exactly. That's the argument I look at too. And for me, what I've been alive for at least 4 Celtics championships, about 4 or 5 of them. So that's exactly. Yeah, I'm a young gun still. So, but no, it's just like I said. There's just a difference in sports now. With the Montreal Canadiens, you look at their titles, the Celtics titles. They're kind of inflated just because I think that's why kind of you have free agency now. You kind of have salary cap was to prevent one franchise from just constantly winning all the time, which makes things like what you just saw the Dodgers do, back-to-back, 3 out of 5, very impressive. What the Chiefs have done, what the Patriots have done, multiple Super Bowls, very impressive as well. And it's even the NBA now. I mean, the NBA has not seen a back-to-back champ. And the NBA was always the most frequent sport with repeat champions. And the Golden State Warriors and Heat both did it in the last decade. And now all of a sudden, since 2020, with the exception of the Warriors winning an additional title on their previous championship run recently, all the champions have been unique every year. I mean, the Bucks.
You got a good chance. You got a good chance of a repeat this year in the NBA, I think.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I agree with that as well.
Is really young on top of really good. So and I think the league is particularly strong at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I think this year is look, injuries happen, things happen, but I would think that OKC has as good a chance of a repeat as we've seen.
I agree with that. I do. I agree. It's absolutely a fact. And to that, I just thought the Celtics were going to win back-to-back too, but it's shocking to me that the league has gone. I think this is the longest the league's gone. I don't even know. It might be ever without a repeat champion. What's the last time? 18, 17, and 18 Warriors, and it was the 19 Raptors.
Golden State, yeah.
Yeah, so since 2019, there's been a unique champion every single year.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Good for the league. I mean,
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do as well. I was watching the 04 Netflix Red Sox special last night. When I see the 90s Yankees, I immediately think of Seinfeld as well.
Well, Seinfeld is actually a Mets fan. George Costanza, of course, worked.
Oh, right.
But Jerry Seinfeld in real life, and I think also on the show, I don't know, but in real life, Jerry Seinfeld is actually a miserable Mets fan.
I love the years where George Costanza worked for Steinbrenner. Those are when it was Larry David playing George Steinbrenner in The Office. You never see his face. Costanza's in the building.
Seinfeld was that was stuff. Yeah,
it's so dated now, that show, but at that time, and even for 5 or 6 years after it was off the air, it was still just as good. Through like
it is shocking how dated it is. It is funny. It's still fun to watch, but it's really dated.
It's like going back and watching Happy Days in the 90s. If you were in the 90s watching Happy Days from those, the shows look old, or the Brady Bunch. It kind of has that aged out. Technology's changed. So
I mean, well, back then, they're making 30-minute cookie cutter episodes. It's not like today where they're making or trying to make these dramas that are more production. And I mean, I just finished up watching a show on Netflix, Black Rabbit. Did you watch that?
Never seen it. No.
Interesting. Maybe some people, following along like it. Jason Bateman, Jude Law, good show about
those guys
in New York City, 2 brothers. It's a drama. I liked it. I mean, the ending was kind of silly, But I like those kind of sophisticated dramas. It's a good show. If anybody watched it, you should. It's worth watching. And
it's called Black Rabbit.
Black Rabbit on Netflix.
All right.
Yeah.
I got Netflix. I'll look into it. I'll have to look into that and check that. I usually watch Stranger Things, Cobra Kai. I'm going to be watching Landman when that comes back out.
Yes, I like
Thornton.
That's coming out next month or soon. Although I kind of forget it, so I need like a rehash.
Yeah.
Stranger Things is a big deal in my house with my daughter. I'm probably going to get snookered into a complete rewatch in the next couple of weeks because it starts later this month. How the hell
26th, 27th, I think. Yeah, I think it's Thanksgiving night or Thanksgiving Eve it comes back.
And how the hell am I going to watch 4 seasons in the next 3 weeks?
Yeah.
We've already watched it top to bottom, I think 3 times. But you know, she's crazy about it, and you do what the kids want, basically.
Did you hear about Millie Bobby Brown filing some kind of harassment claim against David Harbour?
I did. Yeah. That's shocking and disturbing. Which might also explain if you watch the trailer that came out for Stranger Things, which I don't think was very good, by the way. I was a little disappointed, but just a trailer. But Hop, if you will, was not really in the trailer. And I remember at the time saying, even in my house, saying, why he wasn't really featured in it? And then a day or two later, I saw the story about, she was accusing him of something. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Bullying and harassment. And I guess she wrote like a lengthy. I heard it was lengthy.
What a bizarre set. I mean, what could that even mean? It's so weird. Like, well, how does that even happen? How is this grown man in position to bully a co-star that he, by all accounts, had great respect for? I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. And considering their characters on the show, father-son, father-daughter, kind of relationship, very close. Season 2, that character and him were, her character stayed over his house. Then he came back from the prison in the last season, and then they reunited, and it was a powerful scene, and it's like, now all of a sudden you hear about this in real life. It's like, oh my God, it is downright shocking.
It's always unfortunate when real life intrudes on the fantasy of a show like that. And here we are, and it has. And the reality is, you're going to watch the show, and at some point, your brain is going to say, "Oh my God, was he harassing her?" And that's terrible.
Right.
On the other hand, you have to take her. I mean, can't imagine any reason that she would have to just make this up. That makes no sense to me. Why? These are 2 very successful people doing well on this show. Why would she have a bone to grind with him? I can't imagine. So it is disturbing, I guess.
Sorry, Mark. I'm going to say it was interesting too that this came out now when this is obviously pertaining to something that seems like it happened the previous season prior to the filming of the season. So it's coming out right before. This happened with Olivia Munn when The Predator came out in 2018. She had some complaints, and it was right before the movie came out. And what happened to her was they actually blacklisted her from Hollywood pretty much after that, which was shocking. They wouldn't cast her anymore because they felt that she torpedoed by releasing her complaints, which were legitimate. They felt that she had destroyed the box office of the movie, but I don't think that's going to happen with Stranger Things.
I don't think Millie Bobby Brown is going to get. I mean, she is. Let's be honest. I don't know what David Harbour did. I hope he didn't do anything, but but the reality is, Millie Bobby Brown is a larger celebrity than he.
Yeah.
David Harbour has other personal issues going on, with his life, which don't reflect great, I suppose, on him. And Millie Bobby Brown is 21 years old, is the daughter-in-law of John Bon Jovi, and has a very bright future. And by all accounts, everyone loves her. She's the star of the show. I mean, if you said who's the one star of Stranger Things, it's her. So I don't think there's any risk of her being blacklisted for doing anything, and nor should there be. I mean, I don't know what happened here, but it's hard to fathom a reason why she would just make this up. So it is very disturbing.
It is, yeah. And I question like how, because it makes me wonder now, were these just like, because there can always be different takes on it. Could it be just that she felt a certain way, or is it that everybody would say, yeah, David Harbour is a total nightmare on set. This guy was way out of control. So I always wonder like the measurements of, did he do something bad, but it was like a low level bad, or is it something very, very, very bad? It must be bad. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's a very prominent celebrity, very well liked, and by all accounts, she made a serious report. I'm sure if it wasn't that serious, or one would hope that she would factor that in and not do that, but she did. So it does make you cringe about what did this guy do? I mean, again, we don't know, but it is disturbing.
It is, yeah. That's what I get concerned about too, because in a lot of shows or movies over the years, you've come to find out, like even many movies where you look back at an actor that's in that movie and it's like, oh my God, they went on to 20 years later we found out that this was. I mean, I heard that the kid that played Dennis the Menace back in the black and white era of that show was basically battered around on set behind the scenes. So at least you look back at things differently, because you look at things as, I'd heard that, not a rumor, but it was documented, I guess, at some point. But
that's not good.
No, not at all. And, obviously you look back at some movies where actors go on to just, totally like the Cosby Show, like what happened with Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby and everything that happened with him. No one watches the Cosby Show. It's not even syndicated, I don't think, anymore.
No,
because of what happened. Yeah.
No, it's a dead show. I mean, it was the biggest show in the 1980s, but with Bill Cosby, it's done. Yeah, I mean, you can't even syndicate it.
No. Not at all. It's crazy how things happen. So we'll see how that story develops. But like I said, it's very interesting. Maybe it took time to prepare this statement as well, because I mean, they obviously filmed the whole season. It's being released after post-production, so it's going to be interesting to see. Because again, the information she put in there was not. I mean, this was not 1 to 2 pages double spaced with size 14 font. This was,
Hey, if she did it that way, it could be 100 pages. Even though
right, yeah, exactly. But I heard there's multiple occurrences there, so that's crazy to hear. Yeah,
that's funny.
Patriots are looking good. So, all right, Mark. Well, we've been on for 2.5 hours. We can wrap here. Yeah, time went by, so I was planning on probably like a 2-hour cap tonight, but we had a pretty good conversation.
It's much more interesting than talking about criminal procedure.
Yeah, exactly. We both needed a little break from, we did the Kelsey Fitzsimmons fundraiser last night, which was great. $1,500 for her. We've raised on the program between, my hosting and the viewers and guests, $9,000 over 4 episodes, which
that's great. The next one we do of these things, we should do movies and TV and pop culture.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, absolutely. That's for sure. Movies, all that good stuff. So it's going to be TV shows going to be really good. Stranger Things coming out, Landman coming out. It's going to be a big season. And then, of course, the Patriots Super Bowl run. We'll see if that's going to be a thing of reality or a myth.
And if you're bored and it doesn't work out, people go rewatch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. You're never going to do better.
Right. Yeah, I got to catch up on some of those shows.
Just like our friend said in the opening video, I'm obsessed with Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Exactly. Well, this is a great show tonight. I appreciated your time, Mark. Just kind of sitting back and basically having, barroom or coffee talk basically with you about sports. And So, well, Mark, thanks for coming on. We'll catch up soon, and then we'll be in touch about another appearance, and we'll think about what we want to talk about on that one. And have a great day and have a great week. And all right, Mark. Well, thank you, sir. Thanks for joining the show. All right. Attorney Mark Bederow, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have him on the show tonight. Thank you, everyone that's tuned in tonight. Thank you to everyone that tuned in last night as well. Last night was a very big show as well. The Kelsey Fitzsimmons fundraiser was a very big success. $1,500 raised for Kelsey's defense fund last night. Very happy with that. We're continuing to contribute to her overall Give, Send, Go, which is now over $36,000, which is fantastic. A great day for the Patriots, a very interesting World Series. One of the better World Series championships, I think, of the century, really. That Game 7 was one for all time last night. But We'll continue to root on our football teams, baseball teams, basketball teams, hockey teams, and watch our favorite shows and movies as well. And again, folks, I thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Be sure to subscribe. And please, Kelly Reed here. Kelly Reed, have a good night as well. We played that video for you at the beginning of the show, Kelly. Rhonda, thank you so much. Thank you, Boston Babe, forever. And thank you, Martha Ivy. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time tonight. I don't know when I'm going to be live again. I'm not sure yet. Maybe next weekend. I'll probably think next weekend. And then I'm going to see what I do for my next topic. I might be covering some Karen Reed stuff too soon with the civil case picking up on the 21st. And then Kelsey Fitzsimmons picks up again on the 25th. So we got a lot of interesting stuff to cover there. And I should find some time to go to those cases as well. It'd be nice to kind of make an appearance in court to watch that stuff in person. But other than that, guys, have a great day. Enjoy your weeks. Be safe as well. Safe commutes. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves. And Halloween came and went. It's already November. The countdown to Thanksgiving's on. Turkey preparation, pie preparation is going to be a big thing here soon. Clean up those leaves. I cleaned up some this afternoon. Got a lot done today in about an hour. Just before the game started. I got done 12 minutes before the Patriots game started. So I was happy about that. But guys, thank you so much. Have a great night from MazzaMedia. I am Mark, and I'm out of here. Take care, guys, and we'll have a great day. Kate says that Mark will never be back. I disagree, Kate. I don't know why you've been so negative towards me in the show tonight. It's been rough. I don't hate you. Kate, I love you. I know you don't feel good about me, but I love you. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna show love to everybody that has something negative to say to me. I'm not gonna say anything negative at all. So I think I love everybody, and I try to show everybody love and appreciation. And that's what I'm gonna continue to do. So thank you all. Have a great evening. And that's all we got to say. So thank you guys for your time. Have a great night from MazzaMedia. I am Mark. Take care, guys. All right. Bye-bye.